listening to Nationwide 90.
This is Nationwide 90 FM, owned and operated by Nationwide News Network Limited. We broadcast from our studios at 14 Ocean Boulevard in the Digicel Center, downtown Kingston, Jamaica. Transmitting on the FM 90 band, 90.3 from Peters Rock in St. Andrew and Murphy Hill in St. Anne. Serving Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, St. Anne, parts of Clarendon, St. Mary and St. Thomas. 90.5 from Huntley in Manchester, transmitting to St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Manchester, Clarendon, rural St. Andrew and parts of St. Thomas. And 90.7 from Cooper's Hill in St. Andrew and Flower Hill in St. James. Serving Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, sections of Trelawney, Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon, St. Mary, Portland and St. Anne. Nationwide 90 FM also broadcasts on YouTube at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2, RevoNews.ai and on Flow on channel 916. Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
6 o'clock. From the studios of Nationwide Radio, morning radio the right way. It's Nationwide This Morning. A very good morning to you. I'm Tona Thomas. Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning, Tuesday, February 17, 2026. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness pays glowing tribute to civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson, who dies at 84. Opposition leader Mark Golding renews his criticism of government's decision to continue multi-billion-dollar drawdown from the NHT. JTA describes as a fake document purporting to confirm that teachers have signed off on a 50% wage increase. In regional news, arrest warrant briefly issued for Guyana's opposition leader after he turned up late for court. In sports, Portmore beat Arnett Gardens in Red Nephew Jamaica Premier League. And in business, UK bank bosses due to hold their first meeting to establish a national alternative to Visa and MasterCard. The details after the break.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Catch the first news of the day. A comprehensive package of local, international, sports, and business news. The news at 6 on Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says he's saddened by news of the passing of American civil rights icon, ordained Baptist minister, and a two-time presidential candidate, the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Reverend Jackson, who was 84, died earlier on Tuesday. In a post on social media, Dr. Holness says Reverend Jackson is without doubt one of the most positively consequential civil rights leaders of the 20th and 21st centuries. He says Reverend Jackson's activism, which centered on championing economic, racial, and social justice and empowering black, minority, and working class people, including voters, had global impact and will resonate for centuries to come. The Prime Minister says humanity owes Reverend Jackson a debt of gratitude. He describes him as an inspirational orator who commanded the ears and consciousness of the captains of the corridors of power, both in the United States and around the world. According to Dr. Holness, Reverend Jackson is among a unique cadre of civil rights leaders including the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was admirable for their ability to put aside self-interest and, at significant personal risk, elected to prioritize what was right and good for humanity, not only in the United States of America, but across the globe. The Prime Minister says the passing of Reverend Jackson is a significant moment in history. Opposition leader Mark Golding says the government's decision to continue the $11 billion annual drawdown from the National Housing Trust, NHT, is disappointing and shameful. Finance Minister Fayval Williams told Parliament last Thursday that the drawdown will continue till 2031 as the government looks to plug gaps in the country's finances caused by the impact of Hurricane Melissa. Posting on social media, Golding criticized the drawdown.
They passed amendments to the NHT Act twice to allow them to do that. So you can imagine how disappointing it is when they table the revenue measures that they plan to extend that for a further 5 years. Now I have to ask you, doesn't Jamaica have a critical problem with affordable housing? Aren't Jamaican people, especially young people, struggling to find a way of acquiring their own home? The NHT is the vehicle that should be doing that. But when you keep taking the money out of it in such large amounts, can't fulfill that mandate, and it's not fulfilling that mandate. And that is why in the PNP's manifesto in the last general elections, we committed to stopping that.
It was under a PNP administration that the drawdown from the NHT began in 2013. The recently tabled estimates of expenditure show that the NHT is projected to generate a surplus of $14 billion in the next fiscal year. Mark Golding says he will continue agitating for the government to change its plans regarding the use of the NHT's resources.
And we think it doesn't make sense anyway, even if you were going to do it for 1 more year because of the problems due to Melissa, trying to work out how to fund the budget, that would have been bad and not so bad. To say now that you're going to spend it for 5 more years when housing is such a problem in the country, what about the 40,000 people who lost their homes in Melissa? The NHT should be playing a much bigger role in getting them back on their feet in new housing. Why depleting NHT of resources as an agency set up for dealing with situations to do with housing? Put it into the general part of the budget where it was spent on wages and salaries. And, I'm going to try my best to persuade them to think again.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is dismissing as fake a document circulating online indicating that a 50% salary increase and immediate incremental payments have been agreed on for all teachers. According to the document, which bears the JTA's logo, the salary increase follows extensive negotiations by the union on behalf of all educators. But the JTA says the document is false. It says that the information does not represent its official communication or position. The JTA is condemning the actions of those responsible for creating and distributing the misleading correspondence. The teachers' union says negotiations with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service are ongoing. It's reminding members and the public that all legitimate JTA communications are shared only through verified channels and must clearly identify an authorized officer or responsible owner of the correspondence. The JTA is urging its members to exercise caution and refrain from sharing unverified information. The young professional arm of the governing GLP, Generation 2000 G2K, is calling for more efficient policy reform to spur digital innovation and reduce bureaucratic barriers. The G2K president is Shane Carr.
We commend the government under Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness for strides already made in the digital transformation. What we're saying is that we cannot afford at any point to ease up. This is a time to accelerate, reducing the red tape and modernizing procurement, streamlining approvals, and creating a space for experimentation that will determine whether or not Jamaica leads the region or tags behind. Our young people cannot afford to sit on the sidelines. We have to move from critic to co-creators.
Carr wants more structured dialogue between government and innovators.
If we want a Jamaica that works faster, smarter, and more efficiently, then we must demand better systems and be prepared to help building them. In the digital age, resilience is not about surviving shocks. It is about positioning Jamaica to win in a global economy. that reward speed, innovation, and collaboration. So this is us calling on the government, innovators, young entrepreneurs to sit at the table, not to argue about the future, but to design it together.
Shane Carr, president of Generation 2000 G2K. An internal review is underway into the circumstances surrounding the death of a patient at Bellevue Hospital in Kingston. According to release from Bellevue, the patient, who is unidentified, died on the hospital compound on Monday. The hospital says the patient's family has been notified. Bellevue also notes that it's cooperating with the relevant authorities as investigations into the incident progress. Bellevue Hospital says it recognizes the seriousness of the matter. It says that the safety and well-being of patients remains central to the hospital's mandate. The facility noted that out of respect for patient confidentiality and the privacy of the family, no further details would be provided at this time. Bellevue Hospital says it remains committed to responsible governance and the ongoing delivery of mental health services in Jamaica. President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jason Russell, is welcoming regulations which will pave the way for casino gaming as part of Jamaica's tourism offerings. Russell says casino gaming represents a significant untapped market for the island.
I think it's spot on. Too many times we start systems with a heavy-handed approach. Sometimes we kill the system before the system even starts. And I think this is what we wanted to hear. I read through the proposal and nothing jumps out at me as being unobtainable or harsh in any way. I personally welcome it. Jamaica needs to have more offerings. We need to be more diverse. Tourists are coming here to have fun. And as somebody in the hospitality business, you don't want to ever tell a tourist, no, we don't have that. That's not available.
The government is creating a dedicated framework to regulate casino gaming as part of operations under the Integrated Resort Developments, IRD. An IRD is a large tourism enterprise that comprises hotels, entertainment hubs, shopping centers, and gaming floors. The regulations are meant to safeguard the country from the possible negative effects of casino gambling. Russell says that the move represents an important expansion for Jamaica in this globally competitive tourism industry.
Right now, the world is very, very small. When you log online and you try to pick your next destination, and where can I go? Where can I have fun? Where can I get what I want? People look for options. They might not say, oh, I'm going to come to Jamaica because there's a casino. But they might not come to Jamaica because there isn't a casino. So what we are doing and what Minister Ed Bartlett has been speaking about is providing a full 360 experience, a gastronomic experience, somewhere you can go and gamble, you can still go to the beach. It's not contrary. We don't have to give up one to gain the other. What we have to do is fill the plate with enough offering that it's undeniable Jamaica is the number one destination in the Caribbean.
Jason Russell, president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Meanwhile, Russell says casino gaming has the potential to be a game changer where job creation and economic activity are concerned.
Massive job creation. And the thing about a casino, we have to take into consideration the type of tourist that flies into a destination for that specific purpose. It's high net. These are people who tip well, they buy the finest meals, clothes, they stay in the best hotels. That's what we're ultimately trying to attract here.
He says while there are potential negatives associated with casino gaming, such things can be controlled.
It is up to the regulator body and it's up to the casinos themselves to ensure that people with addiction don't access the casinos. I've gone to Vegas several times, and I know if you go to a casino as a family member and just call the name of your loved one and say, look, this person should not be gambling because of XYZ, they're automatically banned from the casino. These are safeguards that are put in the system to ensure that families aren't destroyed and that the casinos themselves have longevity. I see no reason to believe that that's not going to be the case here. It's part of the regulation that's proposed. But we have to consider what this means for tourism. This is going to attract a different tax bracket.
Jason Russell, president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He was speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Monday. In the meantime, President of the Jamaica Council of Churches, Bishop Garth Minot, says the group stands firm in its opposition to casino gaming in Jamaica.
This doesn't change our minds in relation to the fact that gaming of all kinds do not assist our real economic development. Nevertheless, we recognize we're in a changing world. This is a growing secular society. The 2011 census shows that more and more people are saying that they do not subscribe to institution like ours, that is the Jamaica Council of Churches. So we recognize that there's a growing number of people who are relishing a growing secular society, but we will maintain our position that we do not see this as an ultimately productive way to engage our citizens or our visitors.
Bishop Minot says casino gaming is not the only tool the government can use as it looks to generate revenue from people who visit the island for rest and recreation.
We maintain, as I mentioned earlier, that our climate, our natural beauty, our culture, our people, all these are avenues and opportunities that we feel are underutilized, under-resourced. Yes, there is some work done, but we feel much more can be done in this area. I mean, people travel from all over the world to come and experience Jamaica and the people of Jamaica. And we feel, therefore, much more can be done. Some things are being done, but we feel much more can be done.
Bishop Garth Minot, president of the Jamaica Council of Churches. He was speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Monday. Now, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says that the recovery of the industry is strong almost 4 months after the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Speaking with Nationwide News on the steps of Gordon House last week, the minister says that the island has already welcomed over 500,000 visitors since the passage of the storm.
We've done a little over 500,000 visitors in the short period since recovery, and have earned close to $1 billion already for Jamaica. The jobs are back in large measure, and we continue to improve. But the most important part of our effort has been the support for the workers of the island. We have established a very strong worker housing framework that has already impacted nearly 1,000 workers and will go to about 20,000. So making sure that the recovery has not left the workers behind is a central pillar.
Minister Bartlett says his team continues its work to widen Jamaica's network of source markets.
We have been recovering apace. Tomorrow we start another phase of the recovery. We're expecting that by the middle of the year we would have gone over 80% of all room stock that were impacted by Hurricane Melissa. Certainly in the new markets, going after South America, Latin America in a strong way. We're going after India and of course the Eastern European countries. So Jamaica continues to strengthen this position in North America, Canada and the UK, but we're going after these new and exciting markets that are going to now future-proof the market for tourism.
Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism. And that's it for the local segment of the news. Up next, regional and international.
Where music is played, copyright owners must be paid. This time signal is brought to you by Jamaica Music Society. The time by Jams is
6:18.
I didn't hear you leave. I wonder how am I still here?
This show is your escape, your vibe, your reset.
But I will go down with this shit.
If Urban Paradise ever brings you peace, joy, or a little relief,
Surrender.
come closer.
What you won't do.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
You tried everything, but you don't give up.
In regional and international news this morning, regional news in Guyana, opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed has accused the governing People's Progressive Party Civic PPPC of orchestrating events to delay his arrival at court after a warrant was briefly issued for his arrest on Monday in his ongoing extradition proceedings. Guyanese news agencies are reporting that Mohammed was set to appear at 9 a.m. at the Georgetown Magistrates Court in the matter involving himself and his father, Nazar Mohammed. When the case was called and he was absent, the magistrate issued a warrant for his arrest at approximately 9:05 a.m., describing his absence as disrespectful. Mohammed arrived about 35 minutes later and was escorted to the court's lockups. The warrant was subsequently withdrawn after explanations were offered to the court. Mohammed claimed his driver discovered 2 slashed tires on his vehicle on Monday morning, preventing him from arriving on time. He alleged that this was not the first such incident, stating that weeks ago, one of the tires had also been slashed on the day of a court hearing. He says he has been forced to rely on staff members for transportation because insurance companies have refused to renew coverage for his vehicles, which he claims was done at the direction of government authorities. International, Jesse Jackson, the civil rights activist and the man who ran to become the president of the United States twice, has died. Jackson was 84. Jackson's family made the revelation in a statement earlier on Tuesday. In that statement, the family wrote that his unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and human rights helped to shape a global movement for freedom and dignity. They described him as a tireless change agent who elevated the voices of the voiceless from his presidential campaigns in the 1980s. They note that he mobilized millions to register to vote, leaving an indelible mark on history. Reverend Jackson is survived by his wife Jacqueline, their children, grandchildren, and extended family. He was a protege of the great Martin Luther King Jr., helping to overturn the endemic racism that was present in the United States in the 1960s. A straight line can be drawn from Jackson's work in ending segregation and his runs for president on a Democratic ticket to the election of America's first black president, Barack Obama, in 2008. And that's it for regional and international news. Up next, sports.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Time now for your morning sports. Portmore United are back up to third in the Ren Nefi Jamaica Premier League after beating Arnott Gardens 2-0 at the Tony Spalding Complex on Monday night. Dunstan Cohen gave them the lead on 47 minutes before Orlando Russell made the points safe late in injury time. Portmore are now on 42 points, the same as second place Racing United, who have a better goal difference. Arnott remains 7th on 30 points. 7 teams will be chasing glory in the Surge at St. Thomas FA Major League, which kicks off with a doubleheader at York Sports Complex on Wednesday. 10 teams competed for honours last season. Missing from the lineup are Yalis FC, Portmorant All-Stars and Golden Grove. Yalis FC and Portmorant All-Stars failed to meet the registration deadline set by the St. Thomas FA, while Golden Grove opted not to participate in this year's competition. President of the St. Thomas FA, Lascelles Logan, says the federation is standing firm on its regulations.
We are very strict and disciplined already. And some of these teams did not meet the criteria. You have a deadline date and you have to register within that deadline period. Failing to do so, you won't be eligible.
Action gets underway with Bath FC taking on Prospect in the opening match of the doubleheader. Defending champions White Horses will begin their title defence against Hearties in what is expected to be a competitive contest under lights. Logan is inviting fans to come out and support the players.
We always have prizes and surprises. One of the special things for this season is that Mackay Security is giving the winning team $1 million for their prize money. So that's a big plus for this season. So we have to give guys thanks to Mackay. We have to big up Third as usual, who never leave us out.
Lascelles Logan. Finally, in your morning sports, the ISSA Schoolgirls Basketball Competition delivered an exciting day of action on Monday at Camperdown High as several teams produced commanding performances on the court. In the opening matchup, St. Andrew High beat Merle Grove 50-14. Leading the charge for St. Andrew were Jory Ricketts and Kimani Solomon, who both poured in 15 points. In the second game, Holy Childhood High delivered one of the most dominant performances of the day, overwhelming Vauxhall High 68-4. Kimora Martin was unstoppable for Holy Childhood, exploding for a game-high 36 points. The final game of the evening saw defending All-Island champions the Queen's School pull away late to defeat urban area champions Camperdown 47-29. Danae Brown led Queens with 14 points, while Natania Asfral scored 15 for Camperdown. Coach of Queens, Donald Bimmer, says their defense won them the game.
The captain played a yeoman game, and the younger one stepped up. There were some very harrowing moments because the game at one point was 25 all. After taking a lead, Camperdown fought back, came back to 25 all, took the lead after that, and then in the third and fourth quarter, we kind of resurged and took over the game. The defense stepped up. We caused them to make more errors and turnovers, hence getting more shots opportunity, thereby getting the lead.
Donald Bimmer wrapping up your morning sports.
I didn't hear you leave. I wonder how am I still here?
This show is your escape, your vibe, your reset.
But I will go down with this ship.
If Urban Paradise ever brings you peace, joy, or a little relief,
surrender.
Come closer.
What you won't do.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
You tried everything, but you don't give up.
In business this morning, bank bosses in the United Kingdom are due to hold their first meeting to establish a national alternative to Visa and MasterCard amid growing fears over Donald Trump's ability to turn off U.S.-owned payment systems. The Guardian is reporting that the meeting will be chaired by Barclays UK Chief Executive Vim Maru and is set for Thursday. It will bring together a group of city funders that will front the costs of a new payments company to keep the UK economy running if problems were to occur. The city-funded but government-backed initiative has been under discussion for years. However, Trump's recent threats against NATO allies over Greenland have amplified concerns that an over-reliance on U.S. companies could put UK payments and the wider economy at risk. About 95% of UK card transactions are made using payment systems owned by MasterCard and Visa. That dominance has become far more relevant as cash use across the country continues to decline. The potential disruption could be vast. In Russia, where businesses are reliant on Visa and MasterCard for 60% of payments, U.S. sanctions that forced the companies to turn off their services left ordinary people without access to funds and unable to buy goods. Similar concerns are being raised in the EU, where politicians have taken a vocal stance on building locally owned networks that could not be turned off on a whim by foreign powers. Billionaire Thomas Pritzker says he has retired as the Hyatt Hotels chairman. This after his ties with Jeffrey Epstein surfaced in the latest files released by the U.S. Department of Justice. He said in a statement on Monday that he had exercised terrible judgment in maintaining contact with the convicted sex offender. Recently released files showed that Pritzker was in regular contact with Epstein in the years after his 2008 plea deal on sex crime charges. Pritzker is the latest business figure to face scrutiny after the release of files showing the extent of Epstein's network of high-profile elites. And in foreign exchange trading, the Jamaican dollar has gained 10 cents and will open trading against the benchmark US dollar, selling for an average $156.92. Against the Canadian, the Jamaican has gained $1.88 and will open selling for an average $115.27. And finally, the Jamaican dollar has gained $3.58 and will begin trading for an average $212.31 against the British pound. That's it for business this morning.
The National Land Agency helps landowners register land through its systematic land registration program. The time by the NLA is
6:32.
Persons with disabilities and their caregivers. Register on I Am Able My JCPD, the official digital platform of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Created in partnership with UNICEF, the online platform makes it easy for you to connect to information, programs, and support. Sign up today at jcpd.gov.jm/IamAble or call the JCPD Help Desk at 876-447-0444 for assistance. The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Educating, advocating, empowering.
You have stood with us through every headline and every difficult moment. The Family Club is how we keep this going strong. Together, join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club now on Patreon.
Be still, all ye enemies of Jah, and know that the Lord God Jah the Almighty shall rule the end of his enemies. Jah, Rastafari, Haile Selassie the First. Oh, let God arise, let his enemies be scattered. Let them also that hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melted before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. But let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before God, yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. Sing unto God, sing praises to his name, extol him that rideth on the heavens by his name. Jah, Rastafari, Haile Selassie the First, our Father, strength and Redeemer, who lives and rules and reigns over all living things. A Father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is God in his holy habitation. God set the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwell in dry land. O God, Jarastafari, Selassie, O Father, strength and Redeemer, when thou wentest forth before thy people. When thou did march through the wilderness, Selah, the earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of God. But even Shinar itself was moved at the presence of God, Jarastafari, Selassie first, the God of Israel. Though, O God, Jarastafari, Selassie, O Father, strength and Redeemer, did send a plentiful rain, whereby thou did confirm thine inheritance when it was weary. Thy congregation hath dwelt therein. Thou, O God, Jarastafari, Selassie, O Father, strength and Redeemer, hast prepared of thy goodness for the poor. The Lord God, Jah the Almighty, Selassie, O Father, strength and Redeemer, gave the word. Great was the company of those that published it. Kings of armies did flee apace, and she that tarried at home divided the spoil. Though ye have lain among the pots, yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. When the Almighty God, Jarastafari, Selassie, O Father, strength and Redeemer, scattered kings in it, it was white as snow in Salma. There's
a natural mystic flowing through the air. If you listen carefully now, you will hear. This could be the first trumpet, might as well be the last. Many more will have to suffer, many more will have to die. Don't ask me why. Things are not the way they used to be. I won't tell no lie. One and all got to face reality now. Though I try to find the answer to all the questions they ask, though I know it's impossible to go living through the past. Don't tell no lie. There's a natural mystic flowing through the
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Jah, and the Word was Jah. In the beginning, Jah created the heaven and the earth. Then he created man of his own likeness. He gave unto man wisdom, knowledge, understanding.
Jah is my head and my strength, so shall I fear. He's a shield upon my right and my left hand, so whom shall I be afraid?
It's a Tuesday morning here in Kingston City. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to all the NTMers out early as usual in the YouTube chat. Good morning to all of you there, and hello to our friends out there in Radioland. Good morning. It's a good Tuesday morning here, as I said, in Kingston City. I'm Tawna Thomas.
And I'm George.
Hello to you, George.
Oh, you mean? Wagwan.
What's up? What's good?
Everything is good.
Yeah,
Everything
all is good in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Very well.
Quite.
Very well. I saw somebody earlier saying, chant down Babylon.
Somebody said Georgia treat the entrance like Sting.
Whoa. What do you mean?
We only need MC Nuffy for run out now and say, yo.
We should give you guys one of those treatments
Yeah,
on
for real.
NTM one of these days.
Yeah.
One of these days.
They'll be surprised by you and how we are going to mash it up. Yeah, that's what I call them things say, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I run out and say, bad me bad. No bad me bad.
hold us to it, listeners. Hold us to it. We're gonna do it one of these days. Gonna treat you guys to quite a performance. So look out for that. But it is the What's on My Mind segment, and on my mind this morning, I don't think anybody who listened to Nationwide all of yesterday would be surprised that the Morant Bay Urban Center is also what occupies my mind this morning as well.
That's right.
Certainly, George and listeners, I don't believe any reasonable person wasn't pleased with news that the government was going to redevelop the old Goodyear factory in St. Thomas into an urban center. And last May, when that official ceremony was held and we saw footage of the facility, well-thinking people were pleased about what was coming for the commercial and economic development of St. Thomas and the business community and the people of the eastern end of our island. Following the May 2025 opening, the implementing agency, the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, FCJ, said the tenants would be given 3 months rent-free to build out their units. In other words, you set up your store with your furniture and your equipment and whatever else is necessary to make your store ready to welcome customers. To our surprise, on the weekend though, basically 10 months since that formal opening, only one of the 81 units was fully built out and operational, and as we reported, that was KFC. The problem, based on letters from some tenants, as well as the contractor, China Harbor Engineering Company, CHEC, was electricity installation and water supply. Those basics were still absent from the units of these tenants. For KFC's part, the fast food chain was previously operating on a generator, but subsequently got electricity. And on the water issue, the restaurant was trucking the commodity to its facility, we understand, twice per day. So, what's going on for all the other tenants where light and water is concerned? Yesterday, many of you tuned in and you heard the FCJ chairman, Tanny Shirley, who was on CliffViews Online, answering those questions. But his response, George and listeners, to the electricity matter was quite curious. That's how I'll describe it. The chairman said the installation of electricity at the site has been delayed because JPS had to divert its resources to respond to Hurricane Beryl and Hurricane Melissa. But Hurricane Beryl was in July 2024. That's 10 months before the urban center was officially opened. So I question, why would JPS 10 months later still be diverting resources to Beryl? Again, if you follow, Beryl was July 2024. All customers across the island affected by Beryl got back electricity over a 3-month period or so. So by about October 2024, all JPS customers got back light. If we are to go with Mr. Shirley's explanation that JPS was away from the site for 4 months in the first instance due to Beryl, okay, so that means JPS was working alongside the construction aspect of the project in 2024. And when Beryl struck, the Light and Power Company took time away from the site for July, August, September, and October, those 4 months. Going with that reasoning, JPS would have still returned, George and listeners, to the site in November 2024 and be there for November, December 2024, January 2025, right up to May 2025 for the official opening. And then after the official opening, be there from May 2025 right up to October 2025 when Melissa struck. And that time period between November 2024, when, going by Mr. Shirley's explanation, they would have returned to the site. From November 2024 to October 2025 when Melissa hit, that's 11 months. How is it that over those 11 months, the Light and Power Company was not able to energize the site efficiently, where you could have tenants moving into their units and being able to do build-out works? because that's basically a whole year and $200 million paid over by the FCJ to JPS. And yesterday, Mr. Shirley only left, to my mind, folks to further scrutinize the explanation he gave. To me, it's like you're doing the math and the math isn't mathing, as I'm trying to work out here as well. Over those many months, I question what prevented JPS from energizing the site, especially when CHEC is saying it did all the prep work it needed to do to have the site powered by JPS. Because the first instance delay explanation linked to Hurricane Beryl again appears curious. Mr. Shirley went on to say all tenants had access to generators as well. None of the letters we read yesterday, George, made mention of that. And I find it odd that they would leave out such a critical piece of information that FCJ had given them access to alternative power, because certainly that would have assisted them greatly to commence their build-out works at their units. Shirley said many of the tenants did not act on the 3-month rent-free build-out offer. Why would they though, when there's no light and there's no water? Those are the basics at any facility. And just to push Nationwide into the conversation here, to bring it down a bit more for our listeners, that's like Jermaine out there, our plant manager, coming down to the Digicel building to build out several radio studios for broadcast and there's no light. I mean, how do you proceed with no proper power supply? Furthermore, the explanation given about water. The tenants say they have no potable water. Shirley said yesterday this is misinformation because water was always on the site. He explained that CHEC was doing some sort of disconnection to the lines to align with NWC's metering system and then trying to give each client their own metering system. Importantly though, when asked if the tenants are connected to this water supply, his response was no. Shirley then claimed that Nationwide only spoke to one tenant about not having water. We came here yesterday and reported on communication from several tenants pointing to the issue of not having water connection. And the contractor CHEC, they too spoke to the issue of water relocation works, which were outside of CHEC's, how they put it, unilateral control. So there is a water issue. According to Shirley, all the tenants yesterday would have access to water. So that's yesterday now. He was telling Cliff that, listen, by the end of the day, all the tenants are going to have water. Of course, we here at Nationwide will certainly go back to that site and check to see if that is the case. Critical to all of this, though, as I wrap, I think the FCJ needs to convene some sort of stakeholders meeting with all of their tenants to bring them up to speed about what is happening at the site, because clearly everybody's not on the same page based on the letters we've read, what Shirley said yesterday, what we're hearing from JPS. NWC has not yet spoken to us about their side of things, because again, on the letters we've seen and shared with you yesterday, some tenants aren't hearing enough from the FCJ, and there seems to be some lapse in communication. Communication is lax. There's confusion, there is inadequate information, and some level of frustration based on the wording of those letters. People are in limbo and they just don't know what to do because they need certain basics and they're not getting enough information on those basics, light, water. Nobody wants that, especially for a project like this one that George holds so much promise. Importantly, too, the FCJ, again, must do a better job of communicating going forward and maintaining confidence. Very important. Maintaining confidence on matters like these, especially under circumstances when the investors for other urban centers are looking on and listening. There's Bournebrook Urban Center to come. There's Boscobel Integrated Business Center or Boscobel Urban Center to come as well. So you want to maintain confidence. Investors should be looking on and saying, yes, man, you know what you're doing. You have everything under control. things are progressing in a way that gives me confidence as well, that in the others to come, there won't be these sort of hiccups, and that's putting it lightly. The last thing you want to do is give anyone jitters, especially investors. And that's what's on my mind.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
6:50.
JPS and Partners Cooperative Credit Union offers financial solutions for every stage in your life: savings, auto loans, mortgages, and more. The Temperature by JPS and Partners Cooperative Credit Union, your financial partner for life, is
24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 18 degrees Celsius in Mandeville.
We have been very clinical, very strategic, very deliberate, and very committed to reducing the ultimate index of violence in the society, which is the murder rate. It was one of those intractable problems that many of you would have thought Jamaica would never be in that position. Aside from El Salvador, Jamaica is the only country in the region to have achieved this.
The preceding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
I didn't hear you leave. I wonder how am I still here?
This show is your escape, your vibe, your reset.
But I will go down with this shit.
If Urban Paradise ever brings you peace, joy, or a little relief,
Surrender.
come closer.
What you won't do.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
You tried everything, but you don't give up.
Time of a Street Smart Span with Ludlow McLean on the wheels of steel. Ludlow, good morning, brother.
Morning, George. Morning, Tom.
Hey, it's you, Ludlow.
Right, and everyone tuned in. I'm getting a feedback that there's something is happening on the North-South Highway, in that there's some build-up there. So I'm not so sure yet if there's an accident, but there's something happening on the North-South Highway.
You sure it's not the Mommy Bay Toll Plaza, Ludlow?
I don't know. The person is not sure yet.
Okay.
They are going to just make some announcement, but they're not sure if it's an accident.
Okay.
Until they're also there. But anyway, the situation on the Mandela, though, it's good movement, and it's building all the time. Mandela always, I always say that, and provided there's no accident on the Mandela side here, it's pretty good movement heading towards the major areas, Boulevard and also 6 miles. Well, going up Redding Road, it was good movement in both directions, and if you're on Malines Road, it's moving also. No major delays here. Tiwa Drive, good movement. Also, Walton Park Road. There are a number of vehicles, but it's flowing. No delays there. Tiwa Drive, Agde Walton, all these areas going up into Harbour Tree. Pretty good so far. But when you get to Stockton, that's where you're going to have the traffic peaks. It peaks there. And Constance Street, as usual, a lot of vehicles flowing southbound, going through Harbour Tree. It's our first report for the morning. It's back to you, George.
Thank you, Ludlow there with the Street Smarts 1. Up next, word of the day.
So, your word of the day is spelled Lunation, spelled Lunation.
Lunation. Lunation. Lunation.
Lunation is your word of the day. Lunation, Lunation, and it means the period of time from one new moon to the next. The period of time from one new moon to the next. Explanation here from dictionary.com. A lunation is the time it takes for the moon to complete a full cycle of phases from new moon to full moon and back again. A lunation is about 29.5 days. Lunation, your word of the day. To use it in a sentence, the ritual is tied to a specific lunation, not a fixed calendar date. The ritual is tied to a specific lunation, not a fixed calendar date. Another for you, the full moon occurs roughly in the middle of a lunation. The full moon occurs roughly in the middle of a lunation. Lunation, your word of the day.
To Ludlow's point, quickly, Jermaine, I'm being told by Jody and Walker in the chat, thank you, Jody, that a car overturned. She says she's not sure if any serious injuries, but the police are on site. So, car overturned, north-south highway. Jody and Walker is reporting to us that she isn't sure if there are any serious injuries, but that the police are on site.
Pumpkin seeds, small but mighty superfoods. Pumpkin seeds might be tiny, but they are packed with essential nutrients. Just a small serving provides a rich source of healthy fats, magnesium, and zinc, key nutrients for overall health. On Food for Thought today, we're exploring the incredible benefits of adding pumpkin seeds to your diet. Pumpkin seeds have been used in folk medicine since the ancient Oaxaca highlands of Mexico, credited with treating ailments from urinary tract infections to high blood pressure, kidney stones, and even intestinal worms. But what does modern science say? It's an anti-inflammatory power. Loaded with antioxidants, pumpkin seeds help combat inflammation, which is linked to chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Keeping the hulls on acids adds fiber, making them a powerhouse snack for gut and heart health. Studies suggest pumpkin seeds may inhibit the growth of breast and prostate cancer cells, potentially even triggering cancer cell death. While researchers are still investigating the exact mechanisms, their high antioxidant content appears to play a key role. Having trouble sleeping? A handful of pumpkin seeds before bed might be the natural remedy you need. Packed with tryptophan, magnesium, zinc, and selenium, they help reduce stress and anxiety while promoting deep, restful sleep. In a study on mice, those treated with chemotherapy regained sperm production after consumption with pumpkin seed extracts. Researchers believe the antioxidants in these seeds help counteract reproductive damage. While human studies are ongoing, the findings are promising. With magnesium to regulate blood pressure and antioxidants that support nitric oxide production, essential for healthy blood vessels, pumpkin seeds promote better circulation and reduce the risk of strokes, making them a true heart health MVP. Pumpkin flowers are an underrated nutritional powerhouse. They're cholesterol-free, sugar-free, and low in saturated fat and sodium, yet rich in essential vitamins and minerals, including calcium, iron, magnesium, vitamin A, vitamin C, and folate, making them a great addition to a pregnancy diet. Meanwhile, pumpkin leaves contain manganese, which helps manage headaches, mood swings, and depression. They also provide vitamin D, calcium, and phosphorus, essential for strong teeth and gums. So, the next time you carve a pumpkin or make a hearty soup, don't lose those seeds. Roast them for a crunchy snack, sprinkle them on salads, or blend them into pesto. Pumpkins aren't just for decorations, they're a nutritional goldmine. That's it for Food for Thought. Until next time.
Fearless and fair. Nationwide 90 FM.
The person representing your company, by answering the telephone, must be consistent as your company's brand manager. Be sure your tone is pleasant, friendly, cordial, and sincere. This is Lifestyle Pages on telephone etiquette. Too much friendliness does not convey that your company is serious about doing business, and no one wants to do business with a butu or a sketel. Speak clearly and distinctly by leaving out slangs and street language. You must speak so that you can be understood. Identify yourself clearly when answering the telephone and when making calls. For incoming calls, say, Brown & Company, Miss Jones speaking. Or accounting department, Miss Jones speaking. When making a call, say, "This is Miss Jones from Brown and Company. May I speak with Mr. Smith?" Or, "This is Mr. Brown's office. May I speak with Mr. Smith?" I'm Valerie, and those were Lifestyle Pages.
Nationwide 90 FM, continuing the tradition of fair, fearless, and factual reporting. You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is...
News time, 7 o'clock.
One nation, one purpose, to rebuild stronger than before. Build it to last with tools and equipment from National Supply. The temperature by National Supply is
24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 18 degrees Celsius in Mandeville.
The most credible news in the morning. The news at 7 on Nationwide 90 FM.
Coming up in the news at 7 today, Tuesday, February 17, 2026, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness pays glowing tribute to civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson, who dies at 84. Opposition leader Mark Golding renews his criticism of government's decision to continue multi-billion-dollar drawdown from NHT. JTA describes as fake document purporting to confirm that teachers have signed off on a 50% wage increase. And in international news, Jesse Jackson's family says his unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and human rights helped shape a global movement.
News at 7 is brought to you by Hanes Underwear. Cool, comfortable clothing all day long.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says he's saddened by news of the passing of American civil rights icon, ordained Baptist minister and a two-time presidential candidate, the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. Reverend Jackson, who was 84, died earlier on Tuesday. In a post on social media, Dr. Holness says Reverend Jackson is without doubt one of the most positively consequential civil rights leaders of the 20th and 21st centuries. He says Reverend Jackson's activism, which centered on championing economic, racial, and social justice and empowering black, minority, and working class people, including voters, had global impact and will resonate for centuries to come. The Prime Minister says humanity owes Reverend Jackson a debt of gratitude. He describes him as an inspirational orator who commanded the airs and consciousness of the captains of the corridors of power, both in the United States and around the world. According to Dr. Holness, Reverend Jackson is among a unique cadre of civil rights leaders, including the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was admirable for their ability to put aside self-interest and at significant personal risk elect to prioritize what was right and good for humanity, not only in the United States of America, but across the globe. The Prime Minister says the passing of Reverend Jackson is a significant moment in history. Opposition leader Mark Golding says the government's decision to continue the $11 billion annual drawdown from the National Housing Trust NHT is disappointing and shameful. Finance Minister Favour Williams told Parliament last Thursday that the drawdown will continue until 2031 as the government looks to plug gaps in the country's finances caused by the impact of Hurricane Melissa. Posting on social media, Golding criticized the drawdown.
They passed amendments to the NHT Act twice to allow them to do that. So you can imagine how disappointing it is when they table the revenue measures that they plan to extend that for a further 5 years. Now I have to ask you, doesn't Jamaica have a critical problem with affordable housing? Aren't Jamaican people, especially young people, struggling to find a way of acquiring their own home? The NHT is the vehicle that should be doing that. But when you keep taking the money out of it in such large amounts, can't fulfill that mandate, and it's not fulfilling that mandate. And that is why in the PNP's manifesto in the last general elections, we committed to stopping that.
It was under a PNP administration that the drawdown from the NHT began in 2013. The recently tabled estimates of expenditure show that the NHT is projected to generate a surplus of $14 billion in the next fiscal year. Mark Golding says he will continue agitating for the government to change its plan regarding the use of the NHT's resources.
And we think it doesn't make sense anyway. Even if you were going to do it for one more year, because of the problems due to Melissa trying to work out how to fund the budget, that would have been bad and not so bad. To say now that you're going to extend it for 5 more years when housing is such a problem in the country, what about the 40,000 people who lost their homes in Melissa? The NHT should be playing a much bigger role in getting them back on their feet in new housing. Why depleting NHT of resources as an agency set up for dealing with situations to do with housing? Put it into the general part of the budget where it was spent on wages and salaries. And, I'm going to try my best to persuade them to think again.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is dismissing as fake a document circulating online indicating that a 50% salary increase and immediate incremental payments have been agreed on for all teachers. According to the document, which bears the JTA's logo, the salary increase follows extensive negotiations by the union on behalf of all educators. But the JTA says the document is false. It says the information does not represent its official communication or position. The JTA is condemning the actions of those responsible for creating and distributing the misleading correspondence. It says negotiations with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service are ongoing. It's reminding members and the public that all legitimate JTA communications are shared only through verified channels and must clearly identify an authorized officer or responsible owner of the correspondence. The JTA is urging its members to exercise caution and refrain from sharing unverified information. The young professional arm of the governing JLP Generation 2000, or G2K, is calling for more efficient policy reform to spur digital innovation and reduce bureaucratic barriers. The G2K president is Shane Carr.
We commend the government under Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness for strides already made in the digital transformation. What we're saying is that we cannot afford at any point to ease up. This is a time to accelerate, reducing the red tape and modernizing procurement, streamlining approvals, and creating a space for experimentation that will determine whether or not Jamaica leads the region or tags behind. Our young people cannot afford to sit on the sidelines. We have to move from critic to co-creators.
Carr wants more structured dialogue between government and innovators.
If we want a Jamaica that works faster, smarter, and more efficiently, then we must demand better systems and be prepared to help building them. In the digital age, resilience is not about surviving shocks. It is about positioning Jamaica to win in a global economy that rewards speed, innovation, and collaboration. So this is us calling on the government, innovators, young entrepreneurs to sit at the table, not to argue about the future, but to design it together.
Shane Carr, president of Generation 2000, G2K. An internal review is underway into the circumstances surrounding the death of a patient at Bellevue Hospital in Kingston. According to a release from Bellevue, the patient, who was unidentified, died on the hospital compound on Monday. The hospital says the patient's family has been notified. Bellevue also notes that it's cooperating with the relevant authorities as investigations into the incident progress. Bellevue says it recognizes the seriousness of the matter. It says the safety and well-being of patients remains central to its mandate. The hospital notes that out of respect for patient confidentiality and the privacy of the family, no further details will be provided at this time. Bellevue Hospital says it remains committed to responsible governance and the ongoing delivery of mental health services in Jamaica. President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jason Russell, is welcoming regulations which will pave the way for casino gaming as part of the country's tourism offerings. Russell says casino gaming represents a significant untapped market for the island.
I think it's spot on. Too many times we start systems with a heavy-handed approach. Sometimes we kill the system before the system even starts. And I think this is what we wanted to hear. I read through the proposal and nothing jumps out at me as being unobtainable or harsh in any way. I personally welcome it. Jamaica needs to have more offerings. We need to be more diverse. Tourists are coming here to have fun. And as somebody in the hospitality business, you don't want to ever tell a tourist, no, we don't have that. That's not available.
The government is creating a dedicated framework to regulate casino gaming as part of operations under the Integrated Resort Developments, or IRD. An IRD is a large tourism enterprise that comprises hotels, entertainment hubs, shopping centers, and gaming floors. The regulations are meant to safeguard the country from the possible negative effects of casino gambling. Russell says the move represents an important expansion for Jamaica in this globally competitive tourism industry.
Right now, the world is very, very small. When you log online and you try to pick your next destination, and where can I go? Where can I have fun? Where can I get what I want? People look for options. They might not say, I'm going to come to Jamaica because there's a casino. But they might not come to Jamaica because there isn't a casino. So what we are doing and what Minister Ed Bartlett has been speaking about is providing a full 360 experience, a gastronomic experience, somewhere you can go and gamble, you can still go to the beach. It's not contrary. We don't have to give up one to gain the other. What we have to do is fill the plate with enough offering that it's undeniable Jamaica is the #1 destination in the Caribbean.
Jason Russell, president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Meanwhile, Russell says casino gaming has the potential to be a game changer where job creation and economic activity are concerned.
Massive job creation. And the thing about a casino, we have to take into consideration the type of tourist that flies into a destination for that specific purpose. It's high net. These are people who tip well, they buy the finest meals, clothes, they stay in the best hotels. That's what we are ultimately trying to attract here.
He says while there are potential negatives associated with casino gaming, such things can be controlled.
It is up to the regulator body and it's up to the casinos themselves to ensure that people with addiction don't access the casinos. I've gone to Vegas several times, and I know if you go to a casino as a family member and just call the name of your loved one and say, look, this person should not be gambling because of XYZ, they're automatically banned from the casino. These are safeguards that are put in the system to ensure that families aren't destroyed and that the casinos themselves have longevity. I see no reason to believe that that's not going to be the case here. It's part of the regulation that's proposed. But we have to consider what this means for tourism. This is going to attract a different tax bracket.
Jason Russell, president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, he was speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Monday. Meanwhile, president of the Jamaica Council of Churches, Bishop Garth Minot, says the group stands firm in its opposition to casino gaming in Jamaica.
This doesn't change our minds in relation to the fact that gaming of all kinds do not assist our real economic development. Nevertheless, we recognize we're in a changing world. This is a growing secular society. The 2011 census shows that more and more people are saying that they do not subscribe to institution like ours, that is the Jamaica Council of Churches. So we recognize that there's a growing number of people who are relishing a growing secular society, but we will maintain our position that we do not see this as an ultimately productive way to engage our citizens or our visitors.
Bishop Minot says casino gaming is not the only tool the government can use as it looks to generate revenue from people who visit the island for rest and recreation.
We maintain, as I mentioned earlier, that our climate, our natural beauty, our culture, our people, all these are avenues and opportunities that we feel are underutilized, under-resourced. Yes, there is some work done, but we feel much more can be done in this area. I mean, people travel from all over the world to come and experience Jamaica and the people of Jamaica. And we feel, therefore, much more can be done. Some things are being done, but we feel much more can be done.
Bishop Garth Minot, president of the Jamaica Council of Churches, he was speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Monday. Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett says the recovery of the industry is strong almost 4 months after the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Speaking with Nationwide News on the steps of Gordon House last Thursday, the minister says the island has already welcomed over 500,000 visitors since the passage of the hurricane.
We've done a little over 500,000 visitors in the short period since recovery. and they burned close to $1 billion already for Jamaica. The jobs are back in large measure, and we continue to improve. But the most important part of our effort has been the support for the workers of the. We have established a very strong worker housing framework that has already impacted nearly 1,000 workers and will go to about 20,000. So making sure that the recovery has not left the workers behind is a central pillar.
The minister says his team continues to work to widen Jamaica's network of source markets. An item of regional news before we go further. In Guyana, opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed has accused the governing People's Progressive Party Civic, or PPPC, of orchestrating events to delay his arrival at court after a warrant was briefly issued for his arrest on Monday in his ongoing extradition proceedings. Kaisher News is reporting that Mohammed was set to appear at 9 a.m. at the Georgetown Magistrates Court in the matter involving himself and his father, Nazar Mohammed. When the case was called and he was absent, the magistrate issued a warrant for his arrest at approximately 9:05 a.m., describing his absence as disrespectful. Mohammed arrived about 35 minutes later and was escorted to the court's lockups. The warrant was subsequently withdrawn after explanations were offered to the court. Mohammed claimed his driver discovered 2 slashed tires on his vehicle on Monday morning, preventing him from arriving on time. He alleged that this was not the first such incident, stating that weeks ago, one of the tires had also been slashed on the day of a court hearing. He says he has been forced to rely on staff members for transportation because insurance companies have refused to renew coverage for his vehicles, which he claims was done at the direction of government authorities. Further afield, bank bosses in the United Kingdom are due to hold their first meeting to establish a national alternative to Visa and MasterCard amid growing fears over Donald Trump's ability to turn off US-owned payment systems. The Guardian is reporting that the meeting will be chaired by Barclays UK Chief Executive Vim Maru and is set for Thursday. It will bring together a group of city funders that will front the costs of a new payments company to keep the UK economy running if problems were to occur. The city-funded but government-backed initiative has been under discussion for years. However, Trump's recent threats against the NATO allies over Greenland have amplified concerns that an over-reliance on US companies could put UK payments and the wider economy at risk. About 95% of UK card transactions are made using payment systems owned by MasterCard and Visa. That dominance has become far more relevant as cash use across the country continues to decline. The potential disruption could be vast. In Russia, where businesses are reliant on Visa and MasterCard for 60% of payments, US sanctions that forced the companies to turn off their services left ordinary people without access to funds and unable to buy goods. Similar concerns are being raised in the EU, where politicians have taken a vocal stance on building locally owned networks that could not be turned off on a whim by foreign powers. That's the news.
News at 7 was brought to you by Hanes Underwear. Cool, comfortable clothing all day long.
Sign up for the JN Money Card. It's safe, convenient, and free. The time by JN Money is
7:17.
You've stood with us through every headline and every difficult moment. The Family Club is how we keep this going strong. Together, join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club now on Patreon.
Super Center, everything for your home and more.
Bring back the fun of shopping. Discover the best finds in every aisle of amazing items. For your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, or any room, Azan Supercenter has that perfect touch to elevate your space to the next level. Our team is ready to help you find what you are looking for you or someone else. So stop by our Crossroads store today and rediscover the fun of shopping.
Azan Supercenter, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Unlock winnings, unlock value, unlock
Unlock postpaid with Digicel. Sign up for your postpaid plan now, win $1 million. When you sign up and unlock postpaid with Digicel, you can win up to $1 million and more. Just sign up or switch to postpaid, upgrade or activate an add-on in the My Digicel app. Pay your bill in full on time and you can win an iPhone 17 Pro Max every week. A bill write-off up to $10 grand. A grand prize of $1 million. Unlock winnings with Digicel. Better connected.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply. Promotion valid from February 6 to April 4.
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Ludlow McLean. Good morning, Ludlow.
Good morning again, George. And a quick one again. And the lights by Garden Boulevard and Olo Road. Sure you know that one, George?
Yes, sir.
It's out of commission. And that's a very important intersection there. So please, relevant authorities, as quick as you can. And a correction, it's a East-West Highway, PJ Patterson Highway, that the accident occurred, okay? And so be careful as you traverse that area, the PJ Patterson Highway or the East-West Highway. Anyway, in the meantime, the traffic has increased in most areas now. As I said, the Mandela was increasing. The Spanish Town Road has gotten it now. It's heavy along Spanish Town Road. Coming out of Portmore onto Marcus Garvey Drive, there's a lot of vehicles in that area. And also 3 miles, Portia Simpson, Miller Square, all of that. Now, there's going down Marcus Garvey Drive, it's stop and go as you make your way towards East Avenue, that's in the Greenwich Farm area, and then go across to Maxfield Avenue. But Maxfield Avenue is flowing, builds closer when you get into Half a Tree via East Park Road and then South Oden Avenue. Half a Tree scale was already busy from this morning. And going further down Half a Tree Road, you won't escape. It is busy all the way down. Same thing along Hope Road, Hope, Trafalgar, and Hope. Waterloo, those areas are really busy. Waterloo also, and the road that runs parallel, Kingsway, all have vehicular traffic. And at this time, most intersections are busy, I should just tell you from now. So be careful as you traverse. As usual, have a great morning. It's bright and sunny now. At Street Smart, your safety is our concern. It's over to you, George.
Thank you, Ludlow. Ludlow there with Street Smarts 2. Up next, Front Page. Front Page is brought to you today by ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business. For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Welcome back to Nationwide this morning, turning our attention now to our discussion segment, The Front Page. The government of Jamaica's $1.4 trillion budget for 2026-2027, tabled by Finance Minister Favour Williams, places significant pressure on businesses as the country recovers from Hurricane Melissa. This with approximately $36 billion in new tax measures. This includes the expansion of GCT to digital services, higher consumption taxes on sweetened beverages, alcohol, and cigarettes, increases in the environmental levy, and possible property tax hikes. Many businesses are likely to face rising operating costs. While the budget signals fiscal discipline and a commitment to rebuilding, Jamaican businesses, both small and large, must now carefully balance cost management, pricing strategies, and growth plans in a more tax-intensive environment. We're now being joined by Honorary Treasurer of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, John Butler, and the Secretary of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, Kevin Frith. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you both for joining us here on Nationwide this morning. Let's begin with you, John Butler. What do you make of the tax measures announced by the Finance Minister?
Well, I think the view of the Chamber is that nobody likes new taxes, but given the necessities of Hurricane Melissa, these measures are reasonably well targeted. I think we were happy to see there was no hits to income tax, no broad-based GCT increase that would hit purchasing power for everybody. And I think the key thing about these measures is they're going to impact consumers to an extent that's largely within their power, because they can control how they spend their money. And we think if you're going to have to raise taxes, doing it like that is the better way to do it. We do have some quibbles about some of the details of some of the measures, but overall it's not a bad package.
And we're going to come to those details in short order. But for you, Kevin Frith, have you canvassed your members? How are they reacting to the tax measures announced?
Well, yeah, so we have been having dialogue with our membership, and so far, I guess the majority of our members understand that Jamaica is in the process of recovering from the effects of the hurricane. And as a result of that, there has to be measures to generate the type of revenue that would need to help with the recovery effort. So I guess based on discussion, they're not happy with it because, as John said, nobody is happy with new taxes, but we're not getting any negative feedback as in, like, the measures is extreme and so on. So persons are more understanding, but, we look forward to see how we can work our way through this because the recovery of Jamaica is for the benefit of all of us.
And what sort of business people make up your membership, by the way?
Well, so we have a wide cross-section. As you know, we represent the small business sector, which accounts for the majority of businesses across the island. So we have a wide cross-section from supermarkets, shops, and general retailers, haberdashery persons and professionals. We have architects, building contractors. So it's a wide cross-section.
So in terms of the supermarkets, for example, those sorts of business operators, what exactly are they saying in relation to the SCT on sweet drinks, cigarettes, alcohol?
Well, funny enough, I had a discussion with one business owner, and they were saying that, probably some of the larger companies need to find a way how they can at least bear with the shock at this time, considering that the measure is in relation to the recovery effort and generating new revenue. And as well as they're also looking at the effects of sugar on health. So while, there is a consideration for the increase, but at the same time, we have been encouraging our members to see it as a means of going to places like the SRC and develop alternative drinks to benefit from this opportunity.
John, much has been made about the lack of consultation. I've seen a fair few budgets presented and revenue measures prepared, and it's always the cry from industry players that they weren't consulted before the government announced a tax. Is it a practical undertaking for government looking to raise revenue through taxes to sit and have a meeting with stakeholders to thrash out the extent of the tax or whether or not indeed a tax should be levied on players in particular industries?
I think, consultation is good and it's important. I think in the budgetary process, it is typically difficult to have extensive consultation beforehand. One thing I will say is now that the revenue measures are being tabled 1 month earlier than they have in the past, there is this opportunity now that we're currently going through where there's a lot of debate, there's a lot of discourse around these measures. And, in the past, we've seen revenue measures amended during the course of the budget debate. Now there is a longer period through which potentially that might happen. And I think there has been some consultation with some of the most affected people of this measure. Now, probably unofficial, probably quite last minute, and probably letting them know this is coming rather than getting into a debate about it. But I don't think it's accurate that there's been no consultation, and I think we're currently going through a period where more can happen.
Let me ask you about the asset tax. This isn't a part of the revenue measures, but there was every indication that something would happen where that is concerned. It's 0.25%, and kites have been flown about adjustments, downward adjustments, of course. We saw the story this week about Michael Leachin talking about how the asset tax compromised his ability to pay down his debt more significantly. Is there anything that suggests that there'll be any movement on that in the new fiscal year starting April 1?
No, there's no indications of that at this stage. I expected prior to Melissa and post the election, I expected that we would see asset tax movements during the next year or two. But I think given the current fiscal context, it's going to be more difficult to do that. I think if we do see anything, it's going to be towards the back end of this term of Parliament rather than in the shorter term, unless there's a big surprise, but it's going to be difficult to see where it'll be funded from.
And Kevin, the fact that everything is on the table now, what discussions have happened at the level of the Small Business Association to say, right, we have the measures in front of us a month early, these are the things we're going to lobby for within the measures announced by the government? Have those discussions taken place within the walls of the SBAJ yet?
Well, we have been talking at the executive level as to some of the things that we want to bring to the minister for discussion. But actually, right before this announcement, we have been discussing with the minister about how do we help small businesses to generate more revenue and benefit from the 20% allocated to the sector for government contracts. So we have been focused on generating more revenue for the sector, and after the budget presentation, we are looking forward to have further discussion with the minister to address some of the concerns that our members will have. More information from.
So to be clear, the SBAJ's, based on the preliminary talks, the priority is not to have anything that has been announced in the revenue package changed, but to advance discussions to unlock more avenues of revenue for your members. Am I correct?
Well, yes, I would say we hear the minister's announcement and we understand the circumstances surrounding it. While everything may not be accepted or welcomed by our membership, but at the same time, they have all, majority of them has expressed an understanding given the circumstances. But our focus at SBAJ is to see how is it that we're able to work with our membership to generate more revenue. Because at the end of the day, revenue generation is important and keep the wheel moving. So that's really our focus now. But we await further discussion with the minister surrounding these new revenue measures.
Hold it there, gentlemen. We're going to take a break and come right back. This is Nationwide This Morning.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, what we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good.
Jamaica, stop the killing and give up the guns. Just live good now.
The time brought to you by the Ministry of National Security and Peace is
7:32.
You've stood with us through every headline and every difficult moment. The Family Club is how we keep this going strong. Together, join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club now on Patreon.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Every voice matters here, and yours has always mattered to us.
The Family Club is your front row seat to be part of the conversation officially.
Join the nationwide 90FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Back with us on the front page, Honorary Treasurer of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, John Butler, is with us. So too is the Secretary of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, Kevin Frith. John, there has been a lot of mystery around the tax on digital services. We've had experts in taxation opine on the matter, and they haven't said nothing that makes it more clear as to how the tax will be administered, how it will be collected. Other people have weighed in, and it's still not clear. It's not clear to us as analysts and commentators. It's not clear to our audience, and it certainly isn't clear to the experts we've asked. I burden you with that this morning, John. How do you envisage it working based on the scant information, I won't even say details, provided by the Finance Minister last Thursday?
So you're right, we don't have a lot of information, and I hope we will learn more details during the budget debate and before the measures implemented. But there were some hints that can give us some indication. So the Minister referred to the destination principle. That's a term that the OECD has used in their guidance around how VAT, and which is the type of tax GCT is, should be implemented around the world. And in fact, the OECD and the World Bank have published a vast digital toolkit, which is a 400-page book for Latin American and Caribbean tax administrations to suggest to them how they could implement measures similar to this. So there is a guidebook we can look to that gives us some hints. And what I expect to see based on that is that there will be an obligation put in place for these non-resident online operators. Think of Netflix, Spotify, Apple App Store, and so on. I expect they will be asked to register and they will be asked to start collecting GCT from their customers. That is not new for Jamaica. That is what happens in a number of other countries. It happens everywhere in the European Union. It happens in Costa Rica. It happens in Australia. It happens in Barbados as well. So I don't think it needs to be such a mystery. I think the government has a little bit of work to do to explain it better to people. But I anticipate that if we follow the kind of path that's been rolled out in other countries before now, this can be quite an effective way of levelling the playing field and ensuring that digital services are by foreign businesses are taxed just the same way as domestic supplies are.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, as you noted, it's unprecedented for us to have the revenue measures this early. It's the first time. Well, it's unprecedented. So we know what those things are going to be. But let me ask you, insofar as one of the bugbears of business has been in Jamaica over time, the availability of credit, and not just the availability of credit, but the hopeless availability of credit. People have to go through all sorts of contortions, do all sorts of things, run through all sorts of processes to get the credit when it's available, but the easy, simplified access to credit. Is that something that your ears will be tuned to hearing from the Finance Minister when the budget debate gets underway and she opens it?
Yeah, well, we have actually already started to have discussions surrounding access to credit for our members. And even recently, a meeting is planned for next week with the Industry Ministry to have further discussions surrounding some of the facilities by DBJ and Exim Bank, etc. Because we need easier access to credit for our members to be able to generate the kind of business that they need. Because, you know, small businesses can't seize opportunity without capital. So yes, we're looking forward to those discussions, to further those discussions, because we have already started to have them.
And coming back to you, John, before the break, you had indicated that there were some details you believe that were missing from some of the tax measures announced that you're seeking answers on. What are those?
So I think one is around the sugar tax, and I wouldn't quite say details missing. I think the general thrust of this measure is something we understand. There is a health motive, and it's going to raise a lot of revenue. However, we wonder, will it be as effective as hoped in having behavioural change. The big concern is there's nothing businesses can do the way this has been designed to mitigate its impact. If you have sweetened the beverage at all, and it appears that even if it's an artificial sweetener, such as in a diet soda, you're subject to this tax. What we've seen in other jurisdictions is they have a tiered system or a per gram of sugar tax, such that more densely sugary drinks are subject to a higher level of tax than more lightly sugared drinks. And we think that would be a better place to go, because that would encourage businesses to change their recipes, to have product innovation, to widen the range of diet and artificially sweetened drinks as opposed to sugar sweetened drinks. So we think that would have been a better way to go. Still generally the same direction, still raising a lot of revenue, but adjusting the incentives a little bit.
It's funny you say that, John, because as you started, I'm wondering to myself if products, Tana, Kevin, like Ensure, Pediasure, which are they drinks? They're liquids. They have sugar. So I'm wondering if this too will be captured under the tax regime, because especially considering, and it's important to clarify that, because these are things that are used by the indigent, the elderly, children. So I'm wondering if there's a special exemption category for some things like this, because in stark terms it is a non-alcoholic sweet drink.
Right. What does the government consider to be a non-alcoholic sweet drink? Is it really just talking about sodas?
Yeah.
Or does it also include
a
thing like Ensure?
And I'm wondering, because she didn't say sodas.
No, she didn't.
Yeah. Or energy drinks.
Right.
So that also begs further clarification as to what we mean by non-alcoholic sweet, the codification. And I think in that, gentlemen, we may have some dispute, because people will say, well, how could you put a tax on things that elderly people who can't take solid food eat? Or how do you tax something that a child whose immune system is developing and needs the base nutrients to develop that immune system will take to build out that strength and not have their immune system compromised. So these are the discussions, the details that we need.
And perhaps that is where, to your suggestion, John, about the tiered tax system may come in play. But what do you make of that, though, Kevin? Having, for example, instead of just taxing everything, in terms of non-alcoholic sweetened beverages, you have a tiered system for the tax.
Yeah, no, I agree with that approach, but I don't try to speculate. No, I await the minister to, provide further information so that we're clear as to which direction it's going. But yes, I agree with that method.
John, some business leaders in the beverage industry, they believe that the sector, that aspect of manufacturing is being unfairly taxed. Do you agree? For example, I think it was last Friday, George, you were having a conversation with some members of the industry.
Yes.
And
Catherine Silvera and Antoinette Hamilton.
And Antoinette Hamilton. And you were indicating that, what about pastries that also include sugar?
Yeah.
Is there a tax
that have escaped?
That has escaped it? And there was the point made that the beverage part of the industry has been unfairly taxed. Do you agree?
I think it's a fair point they're making. I think, on the other hand, it is easier to tax beverages. I think it's more administratively simple to identify which beverages should be caught. I think trying to design a tax that captures solid foods based on sugar content will be more challenging. And I think we've seen fewer precedents around the world for that. I think the beverages have tended to be the first one to be got at. And I think that's less about fairness and more about what's administratively straightforward.
Yeah.
But I think on the fairness for the manufacturing more generally, I think we should also just mention, it hasn't got a lot of discussion, the Environmental Protection Levy has been increased quite substantially, in particular for domestic manufacturers. And we call it an Environmental Protection Levy, but that's really just a tax on manufacturing and on importing. It's a blunt instrument. It has no regard to what level of environmental good or harm the product does. It's really just a turnover tax. And if I was in the manufacturing sector, and especially in beverages, getting hit by both of these, I can imagine why they might feel upset about this.
Yeah. John, As you anticipated the revenue measures being prepared by the government, is there any major thing that you feared would happen that has not happened?
Well, I think we didn't have a lot of time to anticipate them because I think I heard on your show last Tuesday morning that they were coming in the afternoon.
Oh.
I was expecting them a month from now. But to your point, I think there might have been fear of the income tax threshold being deferred, increase being deferred or delayed. There might have been fear of a broad GCT increase, just add a percentage point to it. And I think it's positive that neither of those have happened, and we've gone with more targeted measures.
I remember very well reading a document years ago prepared by Joseph Matalon, then at the PSOJ, talking about removing items from the zero-rated list as we progressively move towards the removal of income tax. And of course, that would also involve the adjustment of GCT. Some people say, listen, why not just make this thing simple? If we free those who are in bondage, those held captive by the income tax regime, which is very few of us, because majority of the country, overwhelming majority, don't pay income tax. Free those from the bondage of income tax and increase GCT by 3 to 5 percentage points. They say that is far more palatable, far more fair, and certainly fairer than the unfair system that exists now, and the government could realize more takings from it. It sounds a bit simplistic, John, but is there any merit in that move?
I think there was possibly more merit in that at the time that paper was written back in the 90s, I think, when I think our income tax administration was worse than it is now. I think TAJ have made a little bit of progress, have further to go, and they can somewhat address the fairness element. I mean, what you've said about eliminating zero rating, in terms of designing a good VAT or a good GCT, the most efficient way, yes, is to not have lots of zero-rated items. It is to tax everything. That's economically great, but it's politically very difficult. I think we all remember 10, 12 years ago, the patty tax, when there was a rollback of some of zero ratings. And I imagine any government that was to move to tax basic food items would be quite fearful of a similar blowback. So I think it is great in theory, but quite politically challenging to extend GCT further. And I even if you did, I don't think there's enough there to cover the income tax take. I think if we look at the tax expenditure report, it gives us estimates of how much removing zero rating would do, and my recollection is it's significantly less than what individual income tax is.
Hear you on that. Thank you this morning, gentlemen. Kevin Frith, Secretary Small Business Association of Jamaica. Appreciate your time. John, appreciate your contribution this morning, Honorary Treasurer of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. All the best.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ron.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
7:46.
Hawkeye expresses heartfelt sympathy to all Jamaicans impacted by Hurricane Melissa. As we recover together, we remain committed to securing what matters most. The temperature by Hawkeye is
25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 18 degrees Celsius in Mandeville.
In today's economy, smart investments matter more than ever. And real estate, it's one of the best you can make. But success starts with knowledge and regulation. That's where the Real Estate Training Institute comes in. Whether you're buying, selling, or starting a career in real estate, make sure you're trained and certified. Invest in yourself. Contact the Real Estate Training Institute today. Visit reb.gov.jm to get started.
Hey folks, thanks for your patience. We'll be taking off very shortly. You should be wheels up in about 40 minutes. And due to a bumpy ride, snacks and beverage service has been suspended. AC has given us some trouble. Sorry folks. And Wi-Fi is out. And so is the entertainment. Yeah, I'm sorry about the smell, folks. We are aware.
I know.
Just one more quick note. We are going to have to deplane.
Come on! We're like the plane ride that isn't a nightmare. CG United Insurance. Good like that.
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, leave a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God me say you watch the you of me practice.
.48 on the clock. We continue on the front page. As ongoing power outages and disruptions in Cuba continue to unsettle more than 300 Jamaican students studying abroad, concerns are mounting over their academic future, prompting Jamaican universities and tertiary institutions to signal their readiness to step in to support students who may face prolonged interruptions or who choose to return home. Government monitoring and engagement with students have intensified amid reports of class suspensions and connectivity problems. Local universities, as we noted, exploring ways to help those students continue their programs should the disruptions persist, and the disruptions will persist. Joined we are this morning by the President of the University of Technology Jamaica, Dr. Kevin Brown, and the Campus Registrar at the UWI Muna, Dr. Donovan Stanbury. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning. Dr. Brown, you've been keeping a watching brief on the situation in Cuba. What is UTEC perhaps preparing itself to do if this thing continues?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, George, and morning to my friend, Registrar Stanbury. We've been watching what's been happening. You know, George, it's really unfortunate that Jamaican students have been caught up in geopolitics that's nothing to do with them, and they've only gone to Cuba to better themselves by pursuing tertiary education in that country. Some of them are there on scholarship, and some are actually self-funded. We're open to trying to help the students where we can. I would imagine, though, that many of them chose to go to Cuba because it would have been perhaps a more affordable opportunity for them to earn a university degree. So as much as we want to take them in at UTEC, the challenge will be affordability for many of those students. But we are ready to explore what we can do for these students. It will be a matter of looking at their qualifications and also, you know, whether we offer the courses and programs that they want to pursue. But we're open to exploring what we can do to help them. And we've been here before. We had the Ukraine war, which caused a lot of disruption. I trust that lessons have been learned from that. And what I would say, George, is that if these students have to return to Jamaica and the universities can take them, including UTEC, then I hope that they will get the financial support to pursue their studies in local universities, and not just from the government. I would say that we now need private sector and other stakeholders to look at what they can do to assist these students to further their studies locally.
And has any student or parent reached out yet?
No, we haven't had any official approaches from students, at least not that nothing that I am aware of. But we're anticipating that if it happens, we will explore how we can get them to attend the school. The thing is, I read in Sunday Gleaner that some of them are having problems obtaining transcripts, and that's going to be a problem because for them to articulate, for them to enter UTEC, for example, we will still need to look at their qualifications, and so I hope that the universities in Cuba will release the transcripts, and I hope that the Jamaican government will assist in the students getting the transcripts so that they can move on.
And at UE, Dr. Stanbury, what's the position?
Pretty much the same as Dr. Kevin just explained. I think most of the students in Cuba are medical students, and they went there because they couldn't afford to do medicine at UWI Mona. Even though we consider our tuition for medicine quite competitive compared with North America and Britain, Canada, and so on. So we do have capacity. based on our accreditation, we can accommodate up to over 200 medical students on a yearly basis. We have not had that kind of intake in a couple of years now. So theoretically, there is capacity, and we would love to fill that capacity. However, those students would have to cross two hurdles. That is the articulation. That means they would have to bring their transcript and course outlines so that our faculty can examine those transcript and course outlines to determine where to place them in our system, where they can get credits and exemptions and so on. For those who are in first year, frankly speaking, it might be easier for them just to come in as a new student to UA, because they, I suspect, would have had their CAPE and CSEC qualifications. I agree with Dr. Brown that funding is going to be an issue, and my thinking as a citizen is that as a country we have to come together, government and otherwise, to assist these students, because all they are trying to do is to pursue their dreams to come back and build this very country. And in the circumstances where their studies are disrupted, and I'm sure they are very traumatized living under those conditions. I mean, you can imagine a young person without internet. That is like a death knell.
Yeah.
We really have to come together. This is my personal Donovan Stanbury position. And assist those students.
Yeah. Dr. Brown, you spoke to the issue of funding, and perhaps it is that the university may want to say, even at this point, that if there is a desire to continue whatever course of study is being pursued in Cuba at a UTEC accredited program, and the student can meet the matriculation requirements, that, you know, the university would also take steps to see if it can join the student with private interests, maybe, who can help to bridge the funding gap so that they can continue those studies here.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we have several scholarships at UTEC, and then the students would be free to apply for them. We have a student welfare system as well. So we would definitely try to assist them as much as we can. But the medical programs, the clinical science programs at UTEC, we don't offer medicine, by the way. So
yes.
So definitely, if they want to be a doctor, they have to go to UA. But for other medical science programs that we offer, like dentistry, nursing, pharmacy, and so on, these are some of the more expensive programs at UTEC. Dentistry is the most expensive program we offer. So I know that if the students want to pursue those sort of health profession programs, it will take some funding. We will open up the scholarships to them to apply, but I strongly believe that they will need external support, and it's going to be both public and private. I think the government will have to look at the situation around these students, but also the private sector might have to step up. I think the unfortunate thing here, George, is that we've just had Hurricane Melissa, and there might be a bit of donor exhaustion.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the students may suffer a bit. I think if we didn't have the hurricane, I think they'd have seen a lot more support coming forward. But with Hurricane Melissa, it's kind of created a challenge with donor exhaustion. So I really hope, though, that we'll dig deep and try and support the students where we can.
Hear you on that. Gentlemen, thank you for your time this morning. Dr. Donovan Stanbury, Campus Registrar, UWI Mona, UTEC's President, Dr. Kevin Brown. All the best.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, there was a story this morning I heard as I was driving in, and I tell you about the wonders of technology. We have so many reasons to criticize technology, not because of the technology itself, but because of how people use it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you, there was a story. The story concerns a 12-year-old girl who had been sexually abused for 6 years. Mm-hmm. the investigators went onto the dark web and they found a couple of pictures of her on the dark web. And just by the background of the pictures, they were able to use technology to look at the background, examine the background, and track her down, and they found her.
Oh, brilliant.
And they rescued her.
Brilliant.
It is, I was astonished. I was listening to it this morning.
Yeah.
And it just shows, there's much criticism of this AI tool, that AI tool, this, that, and intrusive technology. But in real terms, this is what they were made for things like this. Not for you to undress non-consenting women and do all kind of things. But I'm just saying, it is marvelous that, and there was, when you saw the picture, because I checked it when I came in, I said, no, if I said the picture, what is it in the background? It to me, it would look like it's just something, it's nothing. And they were able to critically analyze the background to say where this picture could have been taken, and they did all of their other links and tracking and everything else. And they were able to find this 12-year-old girl who'd been through hell for 6 years of her young life. Amazing.
Yeah. I want to speak to something similar in terms of technology as well, George. I'm doing some reading on it, and hopefully I can bring that to the What's on My Mind space on Thursday in relation to using technology in relation to people who are suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. But we're going to go to hot listings, and after that, across Jamaica.
It's time for Hot Listings, Nationwide 90 FM's on-air classifieds, made for quick ads and fast results.
Need your garments altered? Come to Annie G's. At Annie G, we alter all male and female garments professionally. Call 876-858-7908. That's Annie G's, 876-858-7908.
That was Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM. Listings start as low as $1,500. Call 876-630-1210 to book yours today.
Front Page was brought to you today by ABC Electrical Sales. For a better choice in the electrical business.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
8 o'clock.
From the mountainside to seaside, countryside to townside, inside and outside, it's across Jamaica this morning.
Taking you across Jamaica this Tuesday morning, February 17, 2026, in Westmoreland. Health officials in Westmoreland are looking to screen at least 2,000 individuals for hypertension during Heart Month. February is observed as Heart Month. The initiative is part of efforts to encourage early detection and reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. This was disclosed by Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Marcia Graham, during her address to the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting in Savlamore on February 12. Meanwhile, Dr. Graham noted that blood pressure checks are being made widely accessible through health centers and other community-based locations, providing residents with multiple opportunities to get screened. The medical officer is encouraging residents to take advantage of diagnostic services, which have become more affordable through subsidies provided by the NHF. In Portland, the Portland Health Department has commenced a series of blood pressure screenings as well across the parish in observance of Heart Month as a part of efforts to promote cardiovascular health among residents. The initiative, undertaken in collaboration with the National Health Fund, NHF, is being carried out under the theme, Love Your Heart, Check Your Blood Pressure. Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Sharon Lewis, reported that these screenings began on February 11 during the Barbers and Hairdressers Clinic held in the conference room of the Portland Health Department. Dr. Lewis was addressing the Portland Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting on February 12. She outlined that they'll also be doing blood pressure checks at food handlers' clinics in the 3 health districts across the parish. The following locations are the Buff Bay Methodist Churchyard and the Ferry Hill Health Center on Thursday, February 19, and the College of Agriculture, Science and Education case at the health fair that will be held there on February 26. Now, the Universal Service Fund, USF, through its Connect to Recovery, is set on restoring public internet connectivity across 419 sites island-wide, including community and public Wi-Fi sites. Energy and Telecommunications Minister Darrell Vaz says so far, out of a total of $863 million, $443 million has already been committed and the procurement activity remains active. He says completion is on track for March 31, 2026. Vaz made the announcements at a recent post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House. Finally, in across Jamaica, Minister of Agriculture Floyd Green is encouraging farmers to plant more fruit trees, particularly ackee and breadfruit. This in an effort to meet local and overseas demand and replenish crops lost during Hurricane Melissa. The minister, who was speaking during the opening of the Lime Edge Farm Road in Mount Friendship, St. Andrew recently, said that the fruit tree planting initiative also involves the cultivation of avocado. He noted that 1,500 trees from the Dominican Republic are being introduced locally through partnership with international organization Trees That Feed Foundation. The trees are being distributed to farmers island-wide. Minister Green says one of the pluses of these avocados is that they bear right around the year. And that's it for Across Jamaica for this Tuesday morning.
Stepping confidently into a new year starts with one simple, powerful word. Yes! Say yes to new beginnings. Say yes to a secure future. Say yes to living the life you love with your family. With health and life insurance from Sagicor Life. We're here to give you the protection and peace of mind you deserve in 2026. All you have to do is say yes to what matters most. Call 888 Sagicor to speak with an advisor today.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Jamaica. Tune in to Cliff Views Online on February 17 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Mining Matters mobile application launch at the Wembley Center of Excellence in Clarendon. Join us and hear all about the Mining Matters mobile app. You can report mining and quarrying concerns in real time right from your smartphone. Developed by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining with the ACP EU Development Minerals Program and UNDP, it's governance made simple. So tune in to Cliff Views Online, February 17 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Mining Matters mobile application launch. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 or keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining.
Attention all data protection enthusiasts. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM every Tuesday at 8:20 a.m. and Thursday at 8:25 a.m. for a new program, Data Protection Matters. Starting June 4, 2024, join us as we delve into crucial topics that will keep you informed and compliant. Data Protection Matters is hosted by Chuck Cameron, founder of Design Privacy, your trusted partner in data protection. Don't miss out. That's every Tuesday morning at 8:20 and every Thursday at 8:25 a.m. Stay protected, stay informed with Nationwide 90 FM and Design Privacy.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Welcome back to Nationwide this morning. Now, we reported in our news at 6 and 7 that today the world mourns the passing of a giant of the civil rights movement, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who has died at the age of 84. Jackson was far more than a preacher. He was a strategist, organizer, and the first Black American to mount nationwide campaigns for the U.S. presidency, demanding justice and equity across race, class, and national lines. From marching alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1960s to founding influential institutions like Operation Push and the Rainbow Push Coalition, Jackson spent much or more than 5 decades advancing civil rights, economic opportunity, and political empowerment for the marginalized. His loss marks not only the end of a remarkable life, but also a moment of reflection on how the reignited struggles for racial equality, political representation, and social justice have evolved since the mid-20th century. Some more for you before going to our guest. Jesse Jackson, whose birth name was Jesse Louis Burns, was born to a cotton grader and hairdresser in Greenville, South Carolina in 1941. Jackson's mother married Charles Henry Jackson in 1943, and he formally adopted Jesse in 1957. Jackson began his civil rights activism in 1960 when he and 7 others entered the whites-only public library in Greenville County. They were subsequently arrested and jailed. In 1966, Jackson was chosen by Dr. Luther King Jr. to head the Chicago branch of Operation Bread Basket, an organization that strives to improve the economic condition of Black communities across the nation. He unsuccessfully ran for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1984 as well as 1988, and Jackson received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Bill Clinton in 2000. In 2017, He announced he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease last April. His progressive supranuclear palsy condition was confirmed. And joining us now for a conversation, a reaction to the passing, retired provost at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, Professor Basil Wilson. Professor, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide this morning. How is the community reacting to the passing of Reverend Jackson?
Well, Jackson had a profound impact on American presidential politics. He was really quite a charismatic figure. And from the time of the Civil Rights Movement, as a young person, transiting right into advanced politics, he remained a pivotal figure. There's no question that his presidential runs in 1984 and 1988 was like the forerunner of President Obama becoming President of the United States of America. And incidentally, when Jesse ran in 84 and 88, that is when the realization was recognized that David Dinkins could run as the mayor of New York City and could put together a coalition and win the mayoralty. And that is what Dinkins did in 1989 in order to beat back the white backlash movement which Ed Koch personified. And so that had a lot to do with Jesse Jackson being the pioneer and really showing the way in which mobilizing black folks, putting together a coalition, and how that could make a difference in terms of American politics.
Professor, I get the impression that there are at least two generations who don't really know what the reverence around the Reverend Jesse Jackson is about. And I wanted to bring them into the light by starting at Operation Breadbasket, forward to Operation Push, and then the Rainbow Push Coalition.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Jesse Jackson did, he really established an institution and a successful mobilization of black voters in Chicago. That was where Push was really concentrated, and in fact he had a profound influence even on Al Sharpton. Sharpton will tell you that Jesse Jackson was his mentor throughout, and it had a lot to do with dealing with the whole business of economics and civil rights, combining those together. And he was quite a spokesperson. As I mentioned, he was really quite charismatic in terms of how he moved and the impact that he had on his supporters and followers. And he lasted, King, as you will recall, was assassinated in 1968. That was really the height of the civil rights movement. Jesse continued his efforts and became one of the principal leaders of the civil rights movement right until his illness in 1997.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm keen to go to Operation Breadbasket was people don't understand or people don't remember what was happening in the Chicago of that time, where black people were not able to get jobs, even the most menial of jobs, in some of these manufacturing companies. The Pepsi, the fast food places were not hiring. And he fronted this Operation Breadbasket to get black men especially, and women, into occupations, into jobs, so that they could earn for their families. And it was successful. And that was when his well-being, he advertised his well-being as a man who could organize, who could get people to follow him, who could get people to mobilize, and who could, through advocacy, get those holding the gates, keeping the gates of power, to open the gates to blacks and minorities. And that's really at the heart of what Jesse Jackson was, or who Jesse Jackson was, the man who broke down walls and broke down barriers so black people could step forward,
and who also made the linkage that connected civil rights with economic liberation. Because one of the things that was pointed out in the early years of the civil rights movement, it was important to integrate a counter, but you also had to have the sort of upward mobility that blacks would experience in order to become an essential part of American society. And it is interesting that after the civil rights movement, not really after the we're still struggling with civil rights, but at least it produced a significant black middle class that is now quite a prominent and plays an important role in America's economic structure. If you take somebody like the governor of Maryland, that would not have been possible until if the road had not been paved for somebody like him to emerge as governor of Maryland, the only black governor thus far in the United States, and in fact somebody of Jamaican background.
Yeah, and you know, when you draw a line, Professor Wilson, forward now to Barack Obama, who, of course, the 2 terms as president, and we look at what Jesse did in 84, Reverend Jackson, beg your pardon, in 84 and 88, and people say, well, yeah, I mean, you know, Barack, you say, came after him and he paved the way, but did he really pave the way? They don't appreciate how those times, for a black man to be running hard for the Democratic nomination, to stand on one side as a presidential candidate, how significant and how close Jesse Jackson came, especially in 88. 88, he was beaten by Dukakis, if memory serves me right, who went on to be badly beaten by George H.W. Bush in the election. But to be the second black person to seriously push for a nomination on the Democratic ticket, the first being Shirley Chisholm, he was a history maker in so many respects. And that's why, Professor Wilson, you could understand his tears, standing in the crowd, watching Obama's inauguration, looking at the path he took, the road he paved. Shirley Chisholm before him, unsuccessful, himself unsuccessful, but now Obama cracking the code. It represented almost a full circle moment for him.
And in fact, when Jesse made the decision to run in 1984, most people felt he was crazy.
Yeah.
That his participation in the presidential process would not be effective, and it showed the importance of the black vote to the Democratic Party. To even in today's world, it is black women who constitute the essential base of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
And a lot of that mobilization took place during Jesse Jackson's candidacy as a presidential candidate. I remember some years ago when I was at John Jay, he came to speak, and Bush was the leading candidate. And he was very funny in terms of his language. He says, "Stay out of the bushes." He was warning us not to stay out of the bushes, because the bushes were in fact conservatives who would not advance the civil rights agenda. And Jesse really was quite articulate and quite a spokesperson in terms of getting to the root of the problems confronting American society. So people like Jesse Jackson shouldn't be seen as just black leaders, but they were American leaders, that they had the foresight to understand the weaknesses of American society and to advance it.
Absolutely. So we're out of time, Prof. There's just time enough to say that, you know, his passing, and not for the fact that he's 84 and he's lived a long life, born in 1941. The fact of the matter is, his passing to me feels like a link with the past that has been broken. Yeah, because he covered so much and was involved in so many significant things, not just in the moments when he was doing them, but further down the road, the path he paved. He's truly been one of not the great black Americans, I would say, Professor Wilson, but one of the outstanding Americans across color, across creed.
That is right. That is his memory. And in fact, the only one from that generation who's still alive is Andrew Young.
Yeah. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you this morning, Prof, for your contribution. Yes. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Basil Wilson there reflecting on the life of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Professor Wilson, retired provost at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York.
Alson Pest Control Services, the pest control experts you can trust. Contact us at 876-338-6056. The time courtesy of Alson Pest Control Services is
8:23.
Fontana Pharmacy has a wide variety of items from pharmaceuticals, household, cosmetics, toys, and more. The temperature by Fontana Pharmacy, it's all good inside, is
25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 20 degrees Celsius in Mandeville.
TransJam Highways is having a 50% Valentine's Day discount on T-Tac packages. Get yours from the teller in the toll booth for only $1,250, including a $500 toll credit from February 9 to 2026. Got you quicker with a T-Tag every time on TransJam Highways.
Data Protection Matters is brought to you by Design Privacy. We help you comply and build trust.
Quick question. If I asked you right now, what does a data protection officer actually do? What would you say? Maybe you would say they write policies, or they show up when something goes wrong, or perhaps, honestly, I'm not really sure. This is Data Protection Matters, powered by Design Privacy, and I'm your host, Chukwuemeka Cameron. Today, we are clearing up one of the biggest misconceptions in business, because the DPO role is widely misunderstood. And that misunderstanding is costing organizations money, reputation, and trust. Some companies treat the DPO like a checkbox. Appoint someone, tick the box, move on. Others only think about data protection after the breach, after the regulator calls, after the headlines. That's backwards, that's expensive, and it's entirely avoidable. Here's the truth. A good data protection officer is not a policy writer. They are not a crisis responder. They are your organization's privacy operating system. The person who keeps risk visible, manageable, and defensible every single day. When experts study what makes a DPO effective, they identify 4 major areas of competence. Think of these as pillars holding up your entire privacy infrastructure. The first pillar is technical expertise. A DPO needs deep knowledge of data protection law in Jamaica. That's the Data Protection Act. But it goes beyond knowing the law. They need to understand how it applies to your operations, your systems, your vendors, your data flows. And they need enough IT security knowledge to have informed conversations with your technical teams. The second pillar is interpersonal skills. This surprises people. Data protection is not a back office function. A DPO communicates constantly with the information commissioner, with staff at every level, with vendors, with executives who don't have time for jargon. If your DPO can't communicate, your compliance will fail. The third pillar is leadership. A DPO isn't just following rules. They are setting direction. They advise senior management. They contribute to governance. They help shape business continuity planning. They are at the table before problems become crises. And the fourth pillar is core character, integrity, ethics, the ability to make conflict-free judgments, the commitment to put data subjects, the people whose information you hold, at the center of every decision. A DPO without integrity is dangerous. This role requires independence, the courage to tell uncomfortable truths, even to powerful people. Technical, interpersonal, leadership, character. Now let's get concrete. What does a DPO actually do day to day? 4 core functions. Function 1, continuous compliance monitoring. Notice that word, continuous, not once a year, not when we have time. A DPO builds routines, creates checks, establishes metrics, who's verifying that your customer data is handled correctly, that your vendors meet their obligations, that the policies you wrote 2 years ago are actually being followed? If the answer is nobody, really, you have a problem. A DPO solves it. Function 2, early stage advisory. This is where DPO saves you real money. Here's what happens without proper guidance. Someone builds a great new feature. They launch it. 6 months later, they discover they have violated the Data Protection Act, processed data without proper consent, created a security vulnerability. Now they are rebuilding, notifying customers, maybe notifying the regulator, paying for fixes that cost 10 times what planning would have cost. A DPO asks the questions before you ship. They conduct data protection impact assessments that identify risks when they are cheap to fix. The best DPOs don't slow things down. They help you move faster with confidence. Function 3, regulator liaison. At some point, the Information Commissioner may have questions for your organization. Routine inquiry, customer complaint, breach investigation. When that moment comes, you want one clear, credible point of contact who can respond calmly and accurately. That's your DPO. That's their role. Function 4, training and awareness. Here is something important. Privacy failures rarely happen because someone is evil. They happen because someone is busy, rushed, and unsure of the right thing to do. Training solves that. A DPO builds a culture where the right decision is the easy decision, where everyone, from receptionist to CEO, understands why data protection matters and what they're supposed to do. Awareness, understanding, habit. And by the way, if you are realizing right now that you need to get your priorities straight on data protection, that's exactly what we are covering in our free webinar later this month. I'll share the details at the end of the show. Here's the simplest way to think about what a DPO does. They reduce surprises, and in privacy, surprises are expensive. A customer complains to the regulator because you kept marketing to them after they opted out. Surprise! Your vendor suffers a breach and your customer data is exposed. Surprise! You launch a feature and discover you needed consent you never collected. Surprise! The Information Commissioner investigates and you can't prove compliance. Surprise! Every surprise costs money. Legal fees, remediation, penalties, reputation damage, lost trust. A DPO sees these surprises coming. They build systems that catch problems early. They create documentation that proves you have done the right thing. And when something goes wrong, you are prepared. There's no ribbon cutting ceremony for the crisis that never happened. But the value is real. The protection is real. I want to mention something that gets overlooked. We talk about skills, qualifications, experience, but what about character? The best DPO frameworks identify core values that are essential, not optional. Commitment to data subjects, respect for privacy, continuous learning, ethics and integrity, and I love this one, liberty and justice. Because a DPO isn't just protecting data, they're protecting people, upholding rights, ensuring that in an age of surveillance and algorithms, human beings still control their own stories. So let me speak to you directly. If you are a business leader, ask yourself, do we have someone actually doing this work? Not in name only. If not, you have a gap, and gaps become surprises. If you are in HR, understand this isn't like filling any other role. You're looking for technical knowledge, communication skills, leadership ability, and rock-solid integrity. Assess all four. And if you're considering becoming a DPO, this is a role with real impact. You'll protect people, you'll prevent harm, you'll build something that matters. Learn, grow, lead. A DPO is not a luxury, not a checkbox, not a crisis responder. They are your privacy operating system, the person who monitors compliance continuously, who advises before problems occur, who represents you to regulators, who trains your team to make the right decisions. They reduce surprises, and in privacy, surprises are expensive. Now, If today's conversation has you thinking about what your organization data protection priorities should be, we've got you covered. On February 26th, we are hosting a free webinar called Data Protection Priorities. It is a practical step-by-step session where we walk you through exactly how to get your house in order. No jargon, no fluff, just clarity. Save your spot at designprivacy.io. Come with your questions, we'll answer them live. This has been Data Protection Matters. I'm Chuka Emeka Cameron. Understand the role, build the function, protect what matters.
Data Protection Matters was brought to you by Design Privacy. We help you comply and build trust. From the world to Jamaica, CFL delivers. Global reach, Caribbean reliability. Call 876-320-2263 or visit shipcfl.com. The time by CFL Jamaica is
8:33.
This station raised me. It gave me a voice. And if Nationwide has ever meant something to you, come on in. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
The news cycle doesn't end on Friday. It needs perspective. That's why every Sunday at midday, Nationwide 90 FM presents The Week That Was. A clear, informed review of the top stories that shaped the past week, what really mattered and what lies ahead. No noise, no theatrics, just analysis, context, and clarity. The Week That Was. Sundays at 12 noon with a repeat at 6:30 p.m. Understand the news before the week begins. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Protect your investment before the first shovel hits the ground with Sterling Design and Construction. Our Clerk of Works consultancy provides independent on-site oversight to ensure your project is built right the first time. We eliminate poor workmanship, keep the contractors accountable to drawings and standards, and reduce stress through clear reporting and early issue detection. From workmanship and materials to compliance and performance, we prevent costly rework, delays, and disputes because small issues become big problems from day one. Telephone 876-276-0276.
Welcome back to Nationwide this morning. A good time to say hello to the newest members of the Nationwide Family Club. If you go to Patreon, you'll be able to navigate the patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. That's where you get into the portal to subscribe to the Family Club. Our newest family members, Amanda Gale, good morning. Maureen Thomas, good morning to you. Good morning, Jean Morgan. Good morning, Mark Greensword. Welcome, Mark. Yeah, finally. It took you a minute. Yeah. Those are some of our newest Family Club members. And of course, there's a long list of other members who've subscribed and are part of the Nationwide Family Club. There's something there for everyone. And this week, we have more interviews from Perspective. We have lifetime interviews. You want to hear from Alan Hope. Who is Alan Hope? Jeremy, who is Alan Hope? Eh? Alan Hope. You say Alan Hope. You say, who that? But when you say Muta Baruka, you say, Muta. There you go. Muta for them scooter. But I think them on the right scooter still, but point taken. Yeah? So there we go. You know, one of the... I always think to myself, what would Jamaican music be without Rastafari? Stop for a minute and think about it. The Jamaican music that is the most popular national music in the world, without a doubt, there's no question about it. I was having a conversation with a learned gentleman last week. We were talking books and Jamaican history and so forth. And he made the point that the reason, he's not Jamaican, by the way. He said that the reason he believes Jamaican music is the best music from a country whose identity is wrapped up in the country's identity. He says the reason Jamaica is number one is because you go everywhere in the world and you'll hear reggae. You'll hear reggae. He says you don't go everywhere in the world and hear French music or Spanish music or English music. Is there such a thing as English music? There isn't English or British music. Yeah? But he says you'll hear reggae everywhere. And that's why, no matter what people say, and for all of the things we get up to inside the confines of this space called Jamaica, and even now in the diaspora, this country, if the world were to end right now, it would go down as one of the greatest countries in the history of the world. And our contribution to the world is absolutely amazing. None of our Caribbean counterparts, no other CARICOM country, not a single one, can lay claim to the global influence and impact that we have. And many nations, multiple times our size, can't even begin to have an impact or have the impact that we've had. And it's largely due to the music. And the music would not be what it is without Rastafari. And look at how Jamaica has treated Rastafari. The music would be so much poorer. It would be, the texture would be weak without Rastafari. Anyway, time now for a healthier you. Residents of St. Elizabeth are still recovering from the effects of the recent hurricane. Recovery is not only physical but also emotional and mental. The Ministry of Health and Wellness, along with the Southern Regional Health Authority and partners, has launched a mental health support outreach across the parish. Services available at multiple health centers. I'm being joined by a regional psychiatrist at the Southern Regional Health Authority, Dr. Janique Baldwin-Miller. Good morning, Doc.
Hi, good morning, and thank you so much for having us.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome. You first should tell me, what in the aftermath of a hurricane, what are the things that are normally occupying the minds of the survivors of the disaster?
Well, persons can become quite anxious. They might feel sad, irritable. They might experience grief and some of the trauma symptoms that are common in a traumatic event like a hurricane, like flashbacks, reliving, even feeling numb, not even feeling anything at all post a hurricane.
Mm-hmm. And so with that in mind, what has the Southern Regional Health Authority resolved to do to help with bringing these people back to equilibrium, if I may coin it like that?
Yes, equilibrium is a correct word to use, because we know when persons have been traumatized, they're not feeling like themselves anymore. And the symptoms I described earlier can progress to even some more severe symptoms and loss of function. So that is why since November, the mental health psychosocial support services have been launched in St. Elizabeth to provide, as you had mentioned before, free, confidential, safe services, counseling services to the residents of St. Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. And do they have to pay for these services, Doc?
No, I said it's free.
Free.
It's free, confidential.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And who are some of the partners that you're working with? Because I know that even though you have brilliant staff and brilliant professionals, all wisdom and expertise doesn't reside with you, so you may be bringing some people on board to assist.
Yes, definitely. At Southern Regional Health Authority, Ministry of Health, we definitely can't do it alone. We have some targets that we need to meet. We need to reach at least about 40,000 of the residents in St. Elizabeth. And we're partnering with the Red Cross, Parish Council, Project Hope, Rita Marley Foundation. We are also working with the Ministry of Health, Education,
Yeah.
Youth and Culture. Bellevue Hospital has been on the ground with us. Powerhood JAMPSych and Jamaica Psychiatry Association.
I know, and many people know what first aid is, but what this concept of psychological first aid, explain that for me.
Yeah, so that's a buzzword that's been going on since the hurricane, and it's a humane, practical way of supporting people who are distressed after a crisis or disaster like a hurricane without doing therapy. So it's not therapy or forcing people to talk. It's supportive, compassionate care, and it's not, as I said before, counseling or diagnosing. And basic principles of psychological first aid, or we call it PSA, is looking for persons who are in distress, for example, having suicidal thoughts, feeling hopeless, having issues with sleeping, starting to use increased amount of substances to cope with the distress, and listening to them in a compassionate, empathetic way, and then linking them to the resources like us, through mental health or other resources to improve their psychosocial support.
And so, you know, it is necessary to put on the table as well that some people going through difficulties in this moment, Doc, will tell you that, boy, you know, I'm resilient, I'm strong, I'm made of stern stuff, I don't need any help, I'm going to go this alone, only to realize down the road that that was a disastrous route to take. What do you say to those people who believe that they don't need the services that are on offer, they don't need any professional guidance, they can do it all by themselves to pull themselves out of this rock?
Well, you know, majority of persons, especially Jamaicans, as you said earlier, are resilient. We are trendsetters. And most persons are going to bounce back, right? But if you find that your symptoms are, you know, prolonged, you're losing function, then reach out to us. So if you're finding it hard to reach out after a hurricane, please know that you're not alone. Healing doesn't have to happen in silence, and many hands are working together to support you, and recovery is possible. One step, one conversation, one day at a time. We're here when you're ready to speak. Huh?
Right.
And we know some persons might feel uncomfortable coming to the sites that we have in St. Elizabeth. So we do have our toll-free lines, 188-NEW-LIFE, which is 188-639-5433. You can call us and speak with us.
1-888-NEW-LIFE. And for those listening to us and say, okay, so they're in St. Elizabeth, where can I find them? Just repeat that again.
The locations that we are in St. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay, so we are across St. Elizabeth at the health center, so Santa Cruz Health Center, Eldersley, Newmarket, Balaclava, Newell, Junction, Magotty, Lacovia Health Center, Southfield Health Center, and we're also at Black River Hospital. So you can go to our website so that you can get additional information, which is www.srha.gov.jm, or you can look for us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
All right. The Southern Regional Health Authority providing outreach services in St. Elizabeth, and they're at multiple locations, health centers, and the Black River Hospital. The same facilities you would go in normal times for your medical needs. They have people there willing to help you, willing to listen more than anything else. Dr. Janique Baldwin-Miller, that's all the time I have. Thank you this morning. All the best to you.
Thank you for having me, and have a great day.
You too. Regional Psychiatrist at the Southern Regional Health Authority, Dr. Janique Baldwin-Miller. Break time. Back with more after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
8:47.
The very first time that I saw your brown eyes, your lips inhaled, and I said hi. I knew right there you were the one. in physical attraction, but to my satisfaction, baby, you're more than just a friend. And if I am in love again, I will be sure that the lady is my friend. And if I am in love so true, I will be sure that the lady's just like you. If I say that I could be your one and only, promise you'll never leave me lonely. I just wanna be the one you need. I just wanna be the one to serve you. Sometimes I feel as if I don't deserve you. I'll cherish every moment we share. And if I am in love again, I will be sure that the lady is my friend. And if I am in love, missing you. Talk to you, but it's not the same as touching you. And every time you whisper my name, I wanna run to you. We'll be together, and it won't be long. It won't be long, but it seems like forever. Yeah. And it's hard on my own, baby, 'cause I'm missing you now. And it's driving me crazy, 'cause I'm needing my baby. I'm missing you now. Yeah, baby. Lord of mercy, why? Oh, what kind of man would leave you standing in the cold? Must have been a silly one to sacrifice a pot of gold. Hey, you're the kind of woman that I can give a lot of cash. As much as you require, like, and maybe you don't have to ask. I give you love, I'll buy your clothes, I'll cook your dinner too. Hey, soon as I get home from work, I'll pay your rent. Your bills are covered, too, baby. As soon as I get home, from work, when I go to work, half a day seems so long. You're the only woman that give me loving so strong. You're in my mind, night and day. Yes, and I will miss you if you should go away. I give you love, I'll buy your clothes, I'll cook your dinner too. Yes, soon as I get home from work, I'll pay your rent. Your bills are covered, oh baby. As soon as I get home, I'm over. I make my decision.
Something is wrong.
Hey,
alright? Just listen.
Baby, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Oh, I can tell. Is it that someone new came along and broke the spell? There's a doubt that I can share. Emptiness in your kiss, I'm finding hard to take. If you hadn't second thoughts, if you think we should let go after all we've been through. I should be her first to know. Sweetest insecurity, oh, it's slowly killing me. I've got to know, baby. Tell me how you feel. Are you still in love with me? Like the way we used to be, or did it all fade away? But I feel it's here to stay. Are you still in love with me? Like the way we used to be, or did it all tumble down? The hurt I feel.
Who's talking in the background?
In my heart. I won't accept, but my mind knows to be true.
That time of the morning. We tell some very special people happy birthday and happy anniversary. There he goes again. And happy anniversary. Some birthday greetings here. Happy birthday greetings going out to Bishop Dr. Delpha Davis at the Power of Faith Ministries in Portmore. Happy birthday to you, Bishop Davis. Happy birthday as well to Bruce Salmon in Falmouth, Casita Hanshaw in Falmouth, Jacqueline Bailey Campbell in the United States of America, and Monica Bogle at the Western Regional Health Authority. Happy birthday to all of you. The greetings are coming from Sergeant Wayne Wallace. And happy birthday greetings going out to our friends on Facebook, Kernet Rose Dom, Nikia Millwood, and Tammy Alvaranga. Happy birthday. Wishing for you guys a great day. Antonio Thomas sending happy birthday to Antonio Thomas, sending happy birthday to his mom, Grace Thomas. She's always listening to Nationwide, Antonio says. So good morning to you, Miss Grace Thomas. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday to
Happy
you.
birthday.
Wishing for you a great day. I'm also seeing here Fitzroy Pitta sending happy birthday greetings to his wife. Mrs. Pitta, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday to you from your husband, Fitzroy Pitta, who's saying wishing you God's richest blessings, long life, happiness, prosperity, success, and the good things that life has to offer. So happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I want to send belated happy birthday greetings to Stacy Jan at Sagicor. She's at the Winchester Business Center. Good morning to you. I don't have to ask if you're enjoying the day because of the whole week and the whole month, rest of the month, February, you know, it is a celebrate. So hope you enjoyed Monday. Know you enjoyed Sunday and the weekend. And yeah, all the best to you. Greetings coming from your loved ones, your family and friends, your auntie, them and everybody. All right? All the best to you. Stay safe.
Michelle Simpson sending happy birthday to Auntie Rose Robinson. Coming from Michelle Simpson. So happy birthday to you, Rose Robinson. From your niece, Michelle Simpson. Donna Llewellyn sending happiest of birthday greetings to Church Sister Pauline Marsh of Wales District. So happy birthday to you, Pauline March of Wales District and CCCWC Church family. Have a wonderful day. And may you live with good health, love, peace in the years ahead. And Marjorie Howell sending happy birthday to Beyonce Smichael.
Beyonce,
it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you, Beyonce Smichael from Christopher Harvey, aka Lucky, and Marjorie Howell. Gene Sellers, my friend, good morning. Gene Sellers sending happy birthday greetings to Ellie from all of his friends in Ballards Valley. So happy birthday to you, Ellie, from Gene Sellers and your friends in Ballards Valley.
you know, yesterday I did a birthday greeting and then I realized much later in the day that it was for an 11-year-old girl, her parents. But I know the parents, but the mother especially.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in 21 years. We were at university together. We started and finished at the same time. And I hadn't heard her, and I was wondering, you know, where is it?
Yeah.
And then I realized,
so you're a pair. It's her daughter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Who's
then
in
her.
love?
Yeah, and then her partner also used to be. I think he was a year behind us, but same time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So good
Oh,
people.
awesome.
Morning, Shelly. Morning.
Good morning to ya. Kay Constable sending pre-birthday greetings to Audley Lindo in Port Antonio. Love and blessings from his mom, Miss Rita, brother Keith, and sister Lilith and Karen. So sisters Lilith and Karen in New York saying to you, love, love, love. So pre-birthday greetings to you, Audley Lindo from your fam bam.
I want to send pre-birthday greetings because it's going to be on Ash Wednesday. The lady who is in the chat as James Tours, absolutely first-class individual. Yeah? And I want to send greetings to you, and I know you're going to enjoy this special day because you're so special and your family loves you, you know this, and you have many friends locally and overseas, and I just know you're going to enjoy the day. She is a huge Nationwide fan. Cliff Hughes, when them say like a rock, she not a rock. You understand? So, madam, have a great day when it comes, and keep your dial locked. Keep your love strong for Nationwide 90 FM because we feel the same way about you, all right? Good morning.
Pre-happy birthday greetings to you, James Torres. And Renee Malcolm. It's a pre-birthday greetings as well to Renee Malcolm. Renee, you're celebrating your big one tomorrow, so pre-happy birthday greetings to you. Hoping that you'll have a fabulous one. Keisha Pinedo Dona as well. Keisha Pinedo Dona.
Yeah, from...
It's your birthday tomorrow as well, Keisha.
Yeah, from Shay's Spa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a friend, man, from long. Good person. Hey, Keisha have a sense of humor because sometimes I run some joke with Keisha. When I think about him, I said, Jesus, please. And Keisha no mind. Keisha just laugh. I said, George, he's all right, you know? Yeah. She's top girl. So good morning to you, Keisha. Morning to you and happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you, Keisha. Big up yourself.
That's my home. Yes, that's my home. Yeah. You keep telling me.
A final one here. Michelle Simpson sending happy birthday shout out to her wonderful mom over there in Bethany in St. Elizabeth, coming from all her 7 children. So your mommy is 80 years old today, Michelle Simpson. Tell us her name. So happy birthday. Here it goes. Bernice Thompson. Good morning, Miss Bernice. It's your birthday today. 80 years old today. Down there in Bethany in St. Elizabeth. Happy birthday to you from your 7 children. Wishing you a lovely day. And a final one. Happy birthday greetings to Patricia Williams in Trout Hall. Patricia Williams, your auntie, Donette McKenzie, sending you happy birthday greetings. So Donette McKenzie sending happy birthday greetings to niece Patricia Williams in Trout Hall. Wishing for you a good one.
All right. Are we that?
That's us.
Until Thursday?
Until Thursday.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Nationwide this morning. NTM, The Big Show. Thanks so much to our technical operator, Jermaine King, and our super producer this morning, Sonia Stewart. Thank you so much, Sonia. Up next, the Consumer Hour with Norgay Banton, and at 10, Cliff Hughes online.
They're in Clarendon this morning.
They are.
All right.
I'm Tana.
George.
Good morning.
The next minute you're gone away. Hold up your heads, my brothers. Be conscious, my sisters. And by your works you should surely be paid.
You just heard Nationwide this morning on Nationwide 90 FM.
The one who's got the tiger, the one who sits high and it looks down low. And if you ever miss the man with the anger, the one who's got the tiger, then you'll be someone that he don't know. Say a prayer and chant a psalm. Prayer a day keep the evil calm. You don't have to go to church or be a Christian to call on your name. Hey. Shout out the name Jehovah in the valleys. Shout out the name Jehovah on the hills. Shout out the name Jehovah on the plains. Or even if it rains.